Sisu is a Finnish word that is hard to translate, but the loose connection could be drawn that it is about the willpower to keep coming back over and over again, like the King in Black himself. Hi, welcome to the Fake Nerd Podcast, episode 325. Whew, what a number.
Big boys.
Just a little bit more than the amount of subscribers we have. Woohoo!
Made it.
All right, I am Sparks Witty, and I am joined as always by Ryan Eliopoulos.
It's me. I'm here to kill Nazis and dig for gold. And I'm done digging for gold.
And Brandon T. McClure.
I'm here too.
And once again, not joined by Ben Magnet because he's in Hawaii.
That's the correct pronunciation.
He will not be joining us for this episode, which is fine.
He is having a good old time wearing Kirby shirts, lounging on the beach. Looks real nice.
Yeah, looks like he's having a good time, which, you know, good for him.
Yeah, we could all use a Hawaii here and there.
We could all use good times.
This is our Hawaii.
Damn, I go to Hawaii every week. Hell yeah.
Exactly.
Living the big boy dream.
Well, Sparks, if you're done with your beautiful intro, I think I can say some links, yes?
I could make up some more stuff, but I feel like we might as well just move on.
All right, so let's do some links. Sparks, actually, you know what? I'm going to do this because he's not here. Grayson Live posted a lot of, basically like a week's worth of his playthrough of Mega Man X with Ben. And, well, Ben's playthrough that he watches. And 3 of those episodes are linked below. You can check them out now if you've been following along. I also joined Kaiju Weekly. I've mentioned many times that I'm an editor for KaijuRamenMedia.com. And together, the 5 of us, who kind of help make that magazine and website a thing, decided to do a kaiju kind of news roundup, and so we've adopted the name Kaiju Weekly, which is the show that Travis and Michael did before they started Kaiju Ramen. So it's a new Kaiju Weekly. Myself, Nathan Marchand, and Travis and Michael, who have graciously welcomed me into their team, the Kaiju team. So I was on that first episode. Nope. I was on the second episode.
I was going to say, wasn't the first episode last week and you weren't there?
That's true. I was not there. For the same reason we didn't do this show, actually. But yeah, I finally got to join them on the second episode. That's linked below if you guys want to check that out. I did have to dip a little bit, about an hour and a half in because I just had things to go do. But it was a lot of fun. Great time. Really happy to be part of that team. Check that out.
Hell yeah.
Sparks.
Yes, sir.
Tell us about Bapum Jedi Fallen Order.
Yeah, okay. So there is a video now for the audio of the review for Jedi Fallen Order that we released in early 2020, probably the last thing we recorded in person together before the pandemic started.
Wow.
And that had this is before StreamYard because it was pre-pandemic, and so I had the video files and I realized they were just sitting around. I'm like, well, what a perfect time to finally release a video of it. So that came out. Due to some technical buffoonery with the audio, this took me much more time to actually get out than it should have. And when I set out to do it, I was like, this will only take me like 45 minutes. It was a lot longer than that.
It wasn't.
So it's there. So please, if you haven't listened to our review of Jedi Fallen Order and you're interested, please go watch the video. Or now there is a new version of the audio on the pause menu feed. So there you go. Archive episode. Because Jedi Survivor came out. So we got something out on time.
The Jedi Archives.
Very cool. And I did my conversation with Karis Lunn. For those of you who didn't catch the episode the last episode, I'll bring it up again. My first episode of season 2 of Conversation is up finally. I was able to finally get it up. I've revamped most of the show. The only thing not revamped are the interviews. The interview with Karis Lunn, who joins me again from season 1, to talk about her show Journey into Fandom. I talked to her about it last year, and I was able to finally get it out. So season 2 of Conversation is off to the races. It is finally out there in the wild. More episodes come out every other week. But if you want to check out the first episode, check it out. It's in the description below. I'm really happy with it. I hope you guys enjoy it.
Hell yeah. Whoop whoop. Season 2.
And 2 Fake Nerds Watch episodes are in the description, and they are both endings to 3rd seasons
Of shows in space.
Of shows in space, which is insane. So Star Trek, Star Trek Picard season 3 has come to an end with its 10th and final episode called The Last Generation, and it is also the end of my journey with Cookie from Just a Little Podcast.
For now.
Man.
Well, let's be honest. Mike also said for now, and where's that guy been?
Cookie has been on 2 different shows with us that have both ended. Unfortunately, I'm like, oh,
but was really happy to get to do it. I had a great time talking about Star Trek Picard this season. Honestly, I enjoyed talking about the show more than I enjoyed watching it, and I really enjoyed watching it. So that says a lot. I had a very good time discussing it with Cookie. Cookie, thank you so much if you're listening to this for being on that show with me. I know I said it on the podcast. Congratulations on your upcoming child.
whoop.
He might say it begrudgingly, but he says it.
No, I'm serious.
Bars.
Mag in the chats yelling space.
That's a
Tim
video
Curry
game
voice.
reference. Good job, Mag. You're a real one.
I do get that reference. But yeah, Star Trek Picard real quickly, just great show, great season. Really enjoyed that season. It was the nostalgic ending to the Star Trek The Next Generation that I really desperately needed. Is it perfect? No. It's got its ups and downs, but those ups are really up. There's some great, insanely great highs that I was very happy to experience. And I better not see this crew again. They've ended their story. Leave it.
Yeah. By all accounts, I've heard the season is good and it ends well. So I'm like, that's fantastic. Because if there was like another season of the show where people didn't like it, and that's just 3 bad Picard, that's like, man, that's just so sad. That's like, that's not a world I would want to live in. We're like, yeah, the Patrick Stewart show sucks. Like, that's a bummer.
Who knew? All it took was to get the original cast back together.
Yeah. Again, the thing they
seems like most fans probably did.
Yeah.
Hey, if
it had to go out, if it had to go out with only 1 season being good, it should have been the last season.
It's true. If you're a Riker fan like me, like I love William Riker. He's one of my favorite characters. He is my favorite character in Star Trek. If you love him like I do, great season for William Riker. Just saying. That's enough of that. I talked about it last week. If you guys, I have 10 episodes of Star Trek Picard season 3. Go check those out if you want more of that. Link below. And finally, The Mandalorian season 3 might also be the series ender. It's not, but it feels like it.
Yeah, it could be if this weren't Disney who, milked everything into the ground.
Well, The Mandalorian season 3 has come to an end as well, and so as our series on The Mandalorian, Fake Nerds Watch. So that's linked below. Anything you want to say final about Mandalorian?
I think there's a lot of great stuff. It is my least favorite season. I still think that episode 7 was just really awesome, and I just wish the whole show kind of felt like that. I just really loved it. It's good stuff in the finale. Not the worst thing ever. I just wish I felt stronger on it. Again, I kept mentioning in those reviews, man, it makes me look so much more fondly on seasons 1 and 2 because I know I was a little critical, and looking back, I'm I should have appreciated what I had.
Sure.
I want a Bo-Katan spinoff.
The book.
Sure.
I don't care if it's a movie,
a
miniseries. I don't care. I don't think they should try to follow any more Bo-Katan Mandalore stuff in a heavy-handed way
in this show,
in The Mandalorian, because I don't think audiences will like that at this point, and I think trying to do 2 things at this point would hurt the show,
especially
rather that it focuses on what it wants to do with Din and Grogu at the center. That can tie back to Mandalore, but it shouldn't do it a lot. I want something that's actually just focused on Bo-Katan and Mandalore.
Sure, yeah, I agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I wasn't too crazy about the season, but I enjoyed talking about it. So
yeah.
That's all the links in the description below. Check those out, both audio and video, from any of those links. So please check them out, regardless of your, depending on your interests. And yeah, that's it. Who wants to go first of the week?
Oh no.
Do it.
Still watching Succession. Still watching. Nope, Yellow Jackets wasn't this week. They took a week off, and it hurt my brain. I really didn't like that. Still watching Lost. Still, it's a great show. I finished Battle Scars, the Jedi Survivor prequel book. It's cool. It's fine. There's some really good stuff. I think it ends pretty strong. I do think it. I enjoyed the last. I'm not gonna say third. I'm gonna say the fourth. The last fourth of that book a lot more than the previous third. Not that I talked about it last week.
Technically, you talked about Tuesday.
Oh yeah, time same week. You're right. Yeah, I think that book's fun. I've started playing that sequel game, and so far there's been like very little mention of anything that happened in that book, which bums me out. Because that's like the time has passed in between the first game and the second game, obviously, but like years also passed between the book and the second game. So like there's just like one offhand mention of the one thing that's in the book. I'm like, oh. Like, I kind of wish they were a little more tied together, but it's no big deal.
Have you started the game yet, Brandon?
I played the first, basically the first mission on Coruscant.
Okay, yeah. So like, it does feel a little like I agree with Ryan's assessment. Like, I'm not done with the book yet, but I'm a big chunk closer. I'll be finished this week, I'm sure. And I agree with Ryan that like we meet a lot of new characters at the beginning of that book. Gee, it would be kind of cool if they were in the book or at the beginning of the new game.
Oh, interesting.
It's because it is the book's basically a side story of like them dealing with a bunch of bounty hunters and stuff. And it's cool, but like there's only a one-line reference of that, like basically the entire book, and it's like one line. I'm like,
maybe you didn't have this feeling, but I did have this feeling when I start the game, and like Cal's with this whole other crew. Mild spoilers for Jedi Survivor, but
it's the beginning of the game.
It's literally the beginning of the game.
Yeah.
But Battle Scars at least has made me feel a little like, oh well, I'm glad I at least get this one adventure where the whole crew is the crew I was psyched to follow from the end of the first game.
Yeah.
All together, because I get the feeling that's not going to happen in Survivor.
Yeah, it's not a spoiler, but like 5 years have passed from that first game, and the crew is not together anymore. That's not like a spoiler. That's not a spoiler. That is what the game is, and it's getting the crew back together for this big mission. And I just like when I read tie-in books or like comic books, like there's more interconnection there, and like it is cool just to have a side adventure. But like I personally didn't find the writing good enough for me to be like, oh, I'm super happy I read this entire book, to be honest. The last fourth, I think it's some good stuff. But like most of it, I just thought was like, this is really nice and fluffy, and that's fine, but I just don't know if it's for me. It feels very fluffy. Also, I didn't like the person who read it in the audiobook, and I think that also hurt it.
Who reads it?
Just some guy. I'm reading. I restarted not restarted, but I'm now back into the Thrawn audiobook, and that audiobook is insane.
I will say it does feel like, to me, I hadn't looked at the audiobook, but it does feel like it should have a female narrator.
You'd think. No, it's a guy. Again, all those intimate
like it's
scenes.
definitely like female skewed, so it feels like it should have a female narrator.
Nah, it's a dude doing all the lady voices,
regardless of the
accents.
Like, you're following Cal, you're also very heavily following Merrin.
It's mostly Merrin.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I started Jedi Survivor. I'm enjoying it so far. Unfortunately, which isn't the case for my friend here, luckily, I am experiencing a ton of issues with it. And it is a lot of reviewers have said it. Like, a lot of people online are like, yo, they're having a lot of trouble, specifically on PC, but PS5 and Xbox are having a lot of issues too. It's just really framey, and it's really stuttery, and in times when it shouldn't be, specifically in like cutscenes when like I'm not doing anything, I'm just watching a video and it's like hiccuping, and like the audio's hiccuping, and like textures are not loading in until like 2 seconds later. And the game is great. I'm enjoying it. It is incredibly poorly optimized. It's one of those things where like it needed another coat of paint on it. It needed more polish. And this isn't God of War, where God of War can take as long as it wants. This is a Disney Star Wars game that has to come out when that release date is out, right? It's not as bad as Cyberpunk. Like I'm still having a great time, but like I told him earlier, like BD just like disappeared off my back, and then when he reloaded in, I couldn't hack or do anything, so I had to restart the save. And I'm like, that shouldn't happen. Like, it's for you bought the game, but for a $7 game, like, like God of War is such a standard, man. That is an impeccable game. Like, I had no issues with that game. And like this game, like, it just bums me out because like I know the studio is capable of like good stuff. They just didn't have the time for it.
Mm-hmm.
But hey, if you like that first game, it is that but more. it's very much a God of War Ragnarok thing where like, hey, you start with everything you had in that last game and they quickly give you more. You very quickly get a grappling hook in the beginning of the game.
Favorite things about it so far is just that you're not set back.
No.
You are set forward.
It is honestly, it really reminded me of Arkham City, both because you start chained up just like Bruce Wayne, but you already start with all your abilities and stuff. And you very quickly realize, oh, there's like multiple stances, and you can have multiple stances equipped. So you can have, and you unlock more, and I know what those are, but I'm not going to spoil them because they're really cool. It's just like, it is a superior game in like every way, like that you want a sequel to be. It's just unfortunate that like I've had to restart the game because of a bug. And that's just like, games are hard. I get it. Like, I'm not mad at the developers. I'm mad at the publisher who makes them put out unfinished games. Also, last thing I'll say is I'm probably the farthest in. I got to who the villain is of the game. And I got to say, I really hope they do more story stuff to build it up because his reveal is like I thought it was pretty bad.
Okay.
Pretty bad. It is very quick. It's very quick. And like, okay, this is now the mission. And I'm like, I was jarred. So I hope the next 20 hours, fleshes all that stuff out. But like, it was a very, very sudden thing that really turned me off a little bit. But it's great seeing all the homies again. Spoiler, you meet your friends again, believe it or not. It's great. It's lovely. There's an incredibly great conversation when you meet Grease for the first time. That's like incredible. Like the writing in this game is really, really good. It is a awesome game. And you can give Cal a mullet and a curly mustache. I found a short beard in a chest, and I laughed out loud. That's my week. Just mostly Star Wars.
Yeah, I'm. Yeah, like I said, I only beat the Coruscant levels. I really like it so far. I love the gameplay.
Yeah,
yeah. That's my week. So
I'll piggyback off you and say that I'm also playing Jedi Survivor a bit. I'm off course on. I'm a little ahead of you, Brandon. I will be going at a certain pace because my mom is actually like going through it with me. She watched a movie edition version of Jedi Fallen Order, which we finished this week. So she's like all up on the story. I have had none of the bad experiences Ryan has had, which is just bizarre, but it is what it is. So I'm having a slightly more pleasant time. Yeah, excited to be playing it. Well, it's been since Tuesday. What else do I have to talk about? I've continued to listen to D and Dark. Not caught up, but I'm close.
Oh, can we talk about the bit that you got to though?
Oh, didn't we talk about it on Tuesday?
I can't remember. It was Tuesday.
I'm pretty sure we talked about it on Tuesday.
Okay, well, we're gonna go back to Tuesday then, and we'll.
I've given Ben endless. Yeah, I'm pretty sure we brought this up on Tuesday.
Yeah, I think so.
I have given Ben endless amounts of crap for disintegrating his Bone Club hammer when he had a spear. Yeah. Okay. D and Dark's great. I'm where Larry is a werewolf.
Good stuff.
That's really good. That's where I'm at. Okay. Dragon Ball Super. I'm caught up on the manga. Are you caught up on the manga, Brandon? I
keep forgetting. I gotta download Manga Plus now because what happened with Viz. So I'm still behind. I keep forgetting. I gotta do that.
I will tell you that the last 2 chapters have been mostly the movie retold in manga form with a little bit of added material that's like what you didn't see that was just out of sight or in between scenes. I'll give you an example. In the manga version of the superhero story, Krillin was working for the police who actually were already catching on to the fact that the Red Ribbon Army was going to recruit Dr. Hedo and knew that the Red Ribbon Army was coming back. And so Krillin is tailing the car when Hedo gets in at the beginning of the movie. But Hedo sends a B android that throws Krillin off his game and makes him lose the tail. And it really, I was upset about it because it makes Krillin look like a little bitch. And I understand that it's like there to functionally work around what happened in the movie, but include new material. But I was like, wow, this makes Krillin look incredibly lame. And like, also like, how did the movie go the way it went if the police were aware the Red Ribbon Army was amassing power and that they were borderline on their way to rebuilding Cell, which is part of what like the manga chapters before with Trunks and Goten are leading into.
Right.
Yeah, they explain why Trunks and Goten couldn't join the fight. It's because their moms found out they were being superheroes and were like, no, more studying.
Yeah. That sounds like Chi-Chi.
Womp womp. Sorry.
Wait, that doesn't sound like Bulma though.
No, it doesn't, but there it is. I'm
weird.
very like I really liked the Goten and Trunks adventure stuff. It lasted for about 3 chapters, and now here we are at the retelling of the film, and I'm like, I still kind of wish we were just telling different stories in that like 3-year gap that we decided to just jump. But whatever, I guess. It's cool that Broly's back in the manga, because that's where we've left off currently, is they're picking up on the planet stuff with Broly and Goku fighting with each other, and I'm like, cool. Okay. But are you going to tell me anything new? I guess not for another 3 or 4 chapters.
I mean, but that's kind of the thing that we talked about when it was first announced that they were going to come back and do the time skip, because like you could do like, it just doesn't make any sense that in the 3-year time skip, Vegeta and Goku were just away, just training.
Yeah,
for 3 years. Frieza Black screwed them up so badly that they were just like, "Okay, 3 years nonstop training, let's go."
I don't know, man. I'm like, we'll see where it's all heading, because obviously the manga is going to go past the movie at some point. So
and it's just one last thing I want to say about that. As someone who's not caught up, it's just like you left the manga before the time skip in such an interesting place. You just decided to be like, nah, we're good.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. But you know what's another manga that I'm caught up on now that's just like knocking it out of the park all the time? It's Chainsaw Man.
Mm-hmm.
Fully caught up once again on Chainsaw Man, and it's really great. I think that manga is fantastic. I think they're still doing a bang up job. One of my favorite things, I've talked about it when I started part 2 of Chainsaw Man, is that it's very much focusing on a new character with no direct connection to Chainsaw Man at first. And it's been that way for about 40 chapters with a few vague third-person perspective appearances of Chainsaw Man. And now the last like 20-ish have started to really bring Chainsaw Man back into the center of the story and like interconnect these two characters in a way that I find very true to what Chainsaw Man has always been, very compelling. I really like these characters. There have been chapters in my catch up that are some of the like real gut punch moments for character beats and what it means to live in this world where devils constantly just kill people. And I'm thrilled. And I was telling Ryan this off air. I'm also really pleased that like the overall fan community for Chainsaw Man has not been upset about the lack of Chainsaw Man being at the center of the story. Like, I can't think of a lot of other things that would be okay with the titular character being gone for about 40 chapters. So it's really nice that like everybody agrees, no, this is like good. This is good stuff still. And has not complained about his absence. I think it's only made his re-entry into the story stronger.
Mag in the chat. It's been a roller coaster for Hero Academia for me being it's in the final arc.
Oh,
yeah.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that.
I did know that the manga's in the final arc. I
Hot
am
dog.
nowhere near caught up, but that's sure that's a lot.
I'll watch the anime.
I'll get there one day. But yeah, that's all.
All right. I don't have a lot. But I want to talk about Renfield for a minute. Because
Sure.
I got to see Renfield. You guys reviewed it a couple weeks ago.
We did.
And I haven't listened to that review yet because I hadn't seen it. Can you tell me what you guys thought of it real quick?
It was fine. I gave it a 7.
I also gave it a 7.
Yeah, probably the same. It's I actually found myself really enjoying the first 2/3. I found the action to be very good. I found it to be very funny, especially in the beginning. Nick Cage is really fun.
Mm-hmm.
But there were elements that I wasn't quite jiving with that were kind of in the background that became the foreground at the last act, where I'm kind of like then I'm kind of like, oh, okay.
No, I 100%. Like this, there was like the family stuff with Aquafina.
Ben Schwartz.
Oh no, actually, I thought that stuff was okay. It was.
I think Ben Schwartz is. I think Ben Schwartz is pretty fun. I don't care for Aquafina in this role. I don't think this is the kind of role that she's good at. I like her generally. I really like her in Ocean's 8. But I don't know. Maybe she just. I don't Yeah, the
It was like real quick. It was the extended family stuff of like bringing like it was her dad and like all that stuff and her sister. Like that was just extra stuff that like I didn't need any of that.
Yeah.
I'll just add on that like my assessment that we went through with the podcast review is very much like a dragging its feet on things that we really should have been moving through a lot quicker, and then moving too quickly through the things that were interesting. And that kind of pacing really messed with me. I do want to know one thing, Brandon. There's a certain point in the movie where Ben, Ryan, and I all felt the same thing. Did you also think that the crime family was going to be revealed to be werewolves at a certain point in the movie?
No, that never occurred to me.
Okay, it happened to us. There's a shot when they're all surrounding them, the police and the crime family, and it focuses on their SUV pulling into frame, and their logo is revealed to be the wolf.
Oh,
and we were like, oh, is Dracula gonna like get together with them and we're gonna find out they're werewolves? Because that would be a whole other like wild third act, and then that didn't happen.
Because Lobos, that's like a type of wolf as well, and they're named like his name's like Teddy Lobo or whatever. So like I thought like it was gonna be a secret third act reveal that like, oh, it's actually a werewolf crime family. It wasn't that interesting.
That would have been interesting. I didn't catch that, but
you'll
cool.
hear all our thoughts on like, oh, this in the review.
But there's a couple of things that I did that again, like I like the action. I really like how gory it was, quite honestly. And like there's a bit where, spoilers, it's been a couple weeks, where Nicholas Hoult kicks Ben Schwartz so hard, just all of his organs just like go out of both of his orifices. I thought that was incredible.
That's a Mortal Kombat X fatality, because you see his bones break and everything, and that's like what happens in Mortal Kombat. I'm like, that was very cool.
Yeah, and I thought a lot of the jokes landed for me. I've got pretty lowbrow humor anyway, so it makes sense that it would. But yeah, all in all, it was a fine, entertaining film.
Yes, I didn't hate seeing it.
I watched the first episode of Sweet Tooth. Season 2 came out this week.
Oh my god!
Yeah,
and I'm happy to say it's incredible.
I'm sure.
Sweet Tooth, I forgot how good the show was. There's a recap in the beginning, which is nice because I forgot a lot about. I forgot certain things, not everything, but I forgot a lot of certain things. And just going through the recap, I'm like, oh wow, yeah, man, this show is really good. And then the first episode hits, and you're like, oh man, yeah, this show is really good.
I'm happy to hear that. I don't expect I'll get to it soon.
I'm really happy that it came back as strong as it did. I've only seen the first episode, but they're doing some really interesting stuff with Gus and the other hybrids, and where we left certain characters off in the final episode of the last season. Yeah, I'm thrilled that it's back, and I'm thrilled that it's good. Can't wait to watch more.
Hell yeah.
I'm going to bring up Mrs. Maisel. I watch Marvelous Mrs. Maisel quite frequently. That's on its 5th and final season for Amazon Prime, and I really enjoy that show. I find it very relatable and very funny. I find the lead to be incredibly hilarious. And there's some things, real quickly, I'll just talk about a lot of that story is working for me. But in the beginning of every episode is a flash forward to the 1980s, because the show takes place in 1961 currently. So it flashes forward to the 1980s, where she's like this famous stand-up comedian whose husband is in jail, or ex-husband. We don't know if they got remarried. And her best friend, she hates her best friend now. And I hate that stuff so much, and it's really bringing down the show. Thankfully, it's only in like the first act of every episode, and I forget about it by the time that the episode is over, because they're pretty long episodes. But it's just so weird to me that we're doing this, because it serves no purpose to the story that's happening in the show. And it just like, there's no like, oh, remember when that happened, flashback to none of that. It's just a completely unrelated story set in the late 80s that just has no bearing on what's happening in the 60s.
How many episodes have you watched so far in the season?
Every episode that's out, I think that's 5 or 6.
Okay, that's a lot. Because I was gonna say, obviously I'm not watching the show, but like I am sure there will be a connecting tissue. I just assume by episode 6 you would have seen it. It might just be a really late thing, and that sounds bad.
Yeah, it might be, but I I don't know. So that stuff doesn't work for me. Otherwise, the show is still very funny and very engaging, and I really like what's going on in it. All my favorite characters are back. Lenny Bruce is so good in that show. Every time he sees him, I'm like, oh, Lenny. But there was the last episode that just aired this week. Was about how Mrs. Maisel accidentally committed an act of piracy because they were in international waters briefly. And she was trying to protect this girl from being sexually harassed by this man. And by doing this, she kind of gets herself into trouble because his jacket falls off the boat, and his jacket is his wallet. And so he's like, "Oh, I was just talking to this nice young lady, and she assaulted me." And blah, blah, blah. And so she gets in trouble. Not really, because the guy, her real boss, like, knows better. This guy's probably being a jerk. And so the Coast Guard has to be involved in, because she technically committed an act of piracy, because money in international waters technically called loot. Anyway, that's all incidental to what I'm trying to say, which is during the credits, they played "When You're a Professional Pirate" from the Muppet Treasure Island movie. And I thought that was incredible. And I was like, oh my God, I love this song. I forgot how good it is. Tim Curry, it's the whole thing. It's ripped from that movie. And I said, Zara, like, oh my God, they're playing Professional Pirate from Muppets. And it's like, oh, I haven't seen that. So we watched Muppet Treasure Island, which is the last thing I'll talk about, because that movie rules.
Sure.
I haven't seen that movie in a really long time, and I forgot how hard that opening goes. Shiver My Timbers, I think, is the song title.
Yeah.
Incredible movie. It's so funny. I love Tim Curry. Tim Curry, the two literary adaptations that Muppets did, Christmas Carol and Treasure Island, both leads of Tim Curry and Michael Caine. Phenomenal.
Yes.
Phenomenal.
It's been one of my great privileges with Twitter. One of the few things I'll praise it for, of growing up and recognizing that everybody knows that those two Muppet movies were excellent, and recognizes that it is a truth, that it is because Michael Caine acts as a human living in a world of Muppets who thinks it's no big deal. And everyone else treats him just like a human. And that Tim Curry is a Muppet while he is a human.
Yes. The song "When You're a Professional Pirate" is one of my favorites. I think he's so good. He's so good as Long John Silver. I always forget just how fun and charming and delightful that movie is. I really love it.
It's been a while.
I think he's the best Long John Silver I've seen on film. Like, I know, like, Muppet Treasure Island is a parody of Treasure Island, so, like, it's hard to call it fully faithful, but I'm like, he is all the hallmarks of the character, and I think he gets the piracy and sincerity towards Tim pitch perfect. Just like Michael Caine is one of the best Scrooges, regardless of the fact that it's in a Muppet version.
You talk about it like you talk about it like you said, it's technically a parody, and you're right, it is technically a parody. But the bit at the end when Long John steals the boat and stares down Jim with a gun, and Jim's, oh my God, that's acting. Yeah, no, 100%. Where, like, I do not think the actor playing Jim is very good, but I do believe that Tim Curry loves that boy. Yeah, me too. There's a bit where like the pirates are about to mutiny on Long John when they find the treasure, and he goes, "Run, boy!" And he like takes out his guns, and the kids are like, "Why would you do this to me?" He's like, "Because I like you, Jim. I thought you wouldn't. I thought you knew I wasn't lying about that." I'm like, "Oh, yeah, Long John." Yeah, it's very good. Like, there's been good Long John Silvers, but Tim Curry's perfect.
Black Sails, which is an incredible Stars pirate show, has John Silver, and it's his Oregon story.
That's really cool. Good. That's how he sailed from Oregon to
Massachusetts. But Black Sails is also a great show.
Yeah, the music, I forgot how much of the music I still remembered. Was just mouthing along with it. It's a great movie. Great movie. It's been too long since I've seen it. That's it. That's my week.
Beautiful.
Shall we go into our bread and butter?
Yum, yum, yum.
All right, here we are. Bread and butter time.
Yum, yum in my tongue.
Jerry Springer died.
Did he really?
Yes.
Yeah.
I do not know. Rest in peace, I guess.
79 years old.
Cool.
I
He exploited lots of people.
That is how I feel too. I have seen a lot of people praising a lot of different aspects of what Jerry Springer did off air.
Sure.
Things that were in his personal life, and I'm like, I guess I never really heard these stories before, but I'm like, the cultural imprint of Jerry is undeniable and massive to me. Yes, I think it was the kickoff of just like a lot of not necessarily soulless, but grim exploitation to come. That's me.
I watched it when I was younger. I thought it was like interesting and like, wow, look at all these crazy people. And then you're watching as an adult and you're like, oh man, look at all these sad people that are being exploited for because they're gonna get a quick buck from Jerry Springer. I'm sure he did some great stuff. I didn't know about any of it. I only know about the bad show he made. So sucks when somebody dies though.
Mag has something to say about Jerry Springer. I'll always remember Jerry biting Dr. Evil's leg.
That's right. Yeah, okay, that's a +1 for him, I guess.
Yeah, I have no real opinion. I actually never saw anything related to Jerry Springer. I only knew the name. It was kind of one of those names that you just like always knew, like culturally in the zeitgeist, just his name.
He was one of those guys who like showed up in movies as either himself, like that, or like in multiple things. Or
I think that's probably how I knew his name, because he showed up in movies.
Yeah. Yeah, he's like a Dr. Phil type of guy, who gets really famous.
I mean, like you said, like cultural osmosis. I'm sure you knew like the Jerry chant and everything like that.
Jerry, Steve. That's real. Steve is his bodyguard guy who got his own show.
I think there'll be a lot of analysis of both. Like, there's probably going to be a fair bit of like pros and cons of how Jerry Springer's show kind of came about, because I do think it's like early enough in where this was
that way.
It was early enough in where it was coming out on television that I do think there was an amount of like, this brought a different perspective into the home for a lot of perspectives that wouldn't normally be seen by a dominantly white male home television audience. But I also think that the further along it went, some of that more, well, what gets most exploitative is when the personalities are big, and like that also benefits the people who go on and have big personalities in like faux reality television, all that kind of stuff, and how that also creates harm, because you are filling in a cultural belief system about how people behave because of the way that they absorb what is considered reality. So I'm sure there'll be a lot of discussions about like where both of those things fell, and like Jerry's just a man in a system, not necessarily the person who is responsible solely for how that all shakes out.
Maury Povich,
you
are not the father.
Legacy is eternal.
Yeah.
You're so smart, Sparks. I love listening to you talk. All right. Comics.
I read those.
Tell me about them.
There's a fair bit of comic book news that happened this week, such as Power Girl Special #1.
Okay.
This is going to be a new special coming out in May. It's going to be just one shot, written by Leah Williams, Exterminators and X Factor, many things. Drawn by Marguerite Sauvage, Action Comics artist.
She's great.
With new powers and a new mission, Power Girl faces a challenge unlike any she's experienced before in this shocking one-shot, rising from the events of Lazarus Planet and Action Comics. For an event that seemed kind of nothing, it's huge.
I don't know if... Well, I mean, I know it was going to be big because it was like the next status quo thing. But like, I don't know, people were like, Power Girl's getting new powers.
It spun out of a spin-off of a spin-off, and like, it didn't like take over the line. It was just kind of this event that was happening. It kind of, honestly, to me, felt like it was happening in the background, and not a lot of people were talking about it. But so many books have spun out of it, and I find that so fascinating. I really got to read it, because I have read the Mark Waid World's Finest book, which it spins out of, and I really enjoy it. I just got to sit down and actually read it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's Power Girl, but it will also feature a 10-page backup story about Fire and Ice, written by Joanne Starrer, who wrote The Gimmick and Sirens of the City, with art by Natasha Bustos, artist on Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur, and Miles Morales, Spider-Man.
Yeah, she did the book we read, 2015 one.
Mm-hmm.
In the introductory tale, Fire and Ice respond to a natural disaster in Baltimore, debating whether to involve Ice's old flame, Guy Gardner. When Guy causes some major drama at the scene, Superman gets involved to stop the fight.
Cool.
So that's the one shot. Now that's going to spin off 2 titles.
Wow.
Power Girl will spin out of that, written by Leah Williams, but this time she'll be joined by Eduardo Pensica, artist on Suicide Squad and Supergirl. This is basically Superman has tasked Power Girl with stopping an ancient Kryptonian threat, which is described as a, quote, road trip race against time.
Wow.
Apparently she also has a new power. We don't know I don't know what that is. And it didn't say in the description, but she's got a new power.
Like a new power from the one-shot new power?
From Lazarus Planet. She has a new power from Lazarus.
Yeah, okay. Got it.
And then it will also spin out Fire and Ice, Welcome to Smallville, which is going to be a new ongoing series. Written by I'm sorry, I have the names up here. Joanne Starr and drawn by Natasha Bustos. So they'll continue on to this ongoing. Basically, that story, the 10-page backup, went horrible. So Fire and Ice are laying low in Smallville on Superman's orders. Ice likes the quiet because she wants to like settle down. She's happy here. But Fire is not okay, and she wants to she wants to branch out. So she's picking a fight with supervillains just whenever she can.
How fiery.
You gotta do what you gotta do.
Yeah. So those are 2 new titles coming out of Power Girl from DC.
Cool. Good for Leah Williams. I know. I personally don't care about Power Girl. She's fine. She's great. Leah Williams loves Power Girl, so it's really cool that she's getting to write her a lot.
Here's something you might like. What If Dark? This is going to be a new series of What If books coming from Marvel Comics. But instead of what if this happened, it's what would happen if things took a dark turn.
The dark multiverse.
It kind of, and it's a little strange because like Marvel editorial mandates that all what ifs can't end better than the actual timeline. So this is kind of that.
I don't know if that's true anymore because we've definitely read. I've read a lot of the modern what ifs, but specifically for the book club, like there was like the What If Ghost Rider metal book where that ends terribly. Like I guess I have to go back and actually think about it, but like I guess sure. I love what if stories.
So What If Dark will be so they've announced 4 with more to come. The first one is going to be What If Dark Loki. The format of this title kills me. It's What If ... Dark : then Loki. Written by Walter Simonson with
Dark What If.
Dark What If, yeah, you'd think. Written by Walter Simonson with art by Scott Eaton. Mm-hmm. Basically, what if Loki wielded Mjolnir? Loki's in charge. A tale of one of Asgard's worst stays and one of Loki's best.
Walt Simonson is the OG Thor guy from the 80s, so that makes sense. That's cool.
What If Dark: Gwen Stacy, Spider-Gwen. Sorry, not Gwen Stacy, Spider-Gwen. Written by Jerry Conway and Jody Hauser with art by Ramon Bach. What if Gwen Stacy didn't die on the bridge that day, but Spider-Man did?
What are they gonna? Jerry Conway, what are you doing? Gwen Stacy's a normal person. What? She's just gonna? I'm gonna be a Spider-Man now.
Yeah, because the cover also has the Spider-Gwen outfit on it. Like there's the Spider-Gwen mask.
So is this gonna be like in the 1970s? Like if she became Spider-Gwen?
Yeah, I guess
sure.
So.
I'm not against it. Sure.
I mean, she could take his web shooters and put them on.
That's true. She's got to get real good at climbing things.
Yeah. What If Dark Venom? Written by Stephanie Phillips with art by Jethro Morales. Nice. What if Ben Grimm became Venom? It's basically the premise. There's a kind of a longer description that describes how Ben Grimm was exploring space for a time after Secret Wars, the original Secret Wars, I assume. Mm-hmm. And he comes back to New York, and the Fantastic Four are experimenting on the Venom symbiote, and it gets on him.
That's cool. Sure. That sounds like a fun little thing.
And then What If Dark Moon Knight, written by Erica Schultz with art by Edgar Salazar.
Oh, nice.
What if Moon Knight did not survive his battle with Bushman? When Khonshu's avatar is slain, a different god empowers their own surprising new champion. From the darkness emerges a new force to light the way, Luminary. But will her quest for revenge against Moon Knight's killer result in her own downfall?
That sounds pretty cool, actually.
Yeah.
Bushman sucks. I'd like to see that guy get beat up by somebody else. That sounds cool.
Yeah. So those are some new What If Darks coming soon, and more will be revealed probably next month.
Well, I mean, I love me some downer endings, so if these are all going to be like, and it ends poorly, I'm like, cool.
Yeah.
You told me I was going to do that.
Cinemacon. We talked a little bit about Cinemacon last week in the last episode. Sorry. So this is just kind of the rest of the relevant news for us anyway. The Fast Saga, Fast 11, we now know what it's called. Fast X: Part 2. Boring.
That's awful.
Is that real?
Yeah. Coming out in 2025.
And just like honestly,
Really?
honestly, the lamest title to go out on.
Really?
All these weird eccentric titles, like give me something really ridiculous.
This isn't 30 Days Late April Fools.
Honestly,
Fast X Part 2.
Honest to God, I wish it was The Fast and the Furious 2.
Me too.
The only true sequel title to the original.
Oh, they should just call it The Fast and the Furious, like Halloween and Halloween.
No. It's The Fast and the Furious, Roman numeral 2. But is it an 11 or is it a 2?
Oh, that's genius!
Yeah, that's too smart for Vin.
You did it. You did it. Call up Universal.
Awful.
Fast X Part 2. We did it. They did it, guys.
I'll accept it if the part 2 is Roman numerals. I'll be like, yeah, okay, whatever.
Yeah, okay.
All right. Kung Fu Panda 4. We have a lot of new information about what Kung Fu Panda 4 is about and who's directing it. Mike Mitchell is directing the film. He's known for Shrek Forever After and the Lego Movie 2, the second part. He did
Lego
like
movies. That's a good sequel.
I do like that sequel, yeah. The film is going to follow Poe as he tries to find a new replacement for the role of Dragon Warrior. He has to leave the Valley of Peace to go to the big city. He's going to introduce a villain called the Chameleon, who is able to summon villains from Poe's past.
Yeah. I've only seen that first movie. But people online were freaking out saying that like they've been wanting for the older villains to come back. I don't know if they're dead or not, but like older villains to come back, and like then this movie is shown to us and it's like this person transforming into different villains, and I'm like, oh, that sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm into this. I really like the Kung Fu Panda villains.
That means getting Ian McShane and
Gary Oldman
back. I'm into it.
Who was the third one?
J.K. Simmons.
J.K. Simmons, yeah.
Get me Kung Fu Panda. What's his name? Poe.
Poe, yeah.
Okay.
Poe. Look, hey, I'm all for another Kung Fu Panda. Real quickly though, Mag is in the chat. I'm not ignoring you, sir. It's just tough
That's
juggling the two.
That's very much what I always thought Shrek Forever After should have done. Is been an excuse to put all the old villains back in the story.
Sure.
And they didn't.
Mag has this to say about Ben Grimm becoming Venom. Going to be crazy web slinging Ben Grimm.
Oh yeah.
And about Fast X trying to end like Mission Impossible. Yeah, Mission Impossible is a better title.
But Mission Impossible is different. They've been more consistent with their titles. The Fast and Furious franchise is nuts with its titles. I want like one is called F9 The Fast Saga. Like that's I wanted a ridiculous title to go out on.
Yeah.
The Fate of the Furious.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. A Quiet Place Day 1. We now know a little bit more about the plot of this one, which will take place in New York. And Lupita Nyong'o is a mother trying to survive following the alien invasion.
I love it.
Sounds great.
Sounds like a really good time. By which I mean a really bad time for them, but a really good time for us.
And really, that's all you need.
Sure.
Avatar: The Last Airbender. The first film we now know will be about Aang, Katara, Zuko, and the rest. And their adult age. And there's actually art. You can find it online. It's leaked online, but it looks really cool.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Didn't we know the first movie was going to be about them?
No, I think we heard that the first movie that there's 3 movies. There's Kiyoshi.
Avatar Kyoshi.
Then there's rumor that they're going to do one based on The Search, and then this one. We weren't sure which one was first.
Oh, I see. Okay.
But now we know for sure, and it's theatrical, and it's 2D theatrical. Oh, baby, that was so good.
Very excited.
The movie's going to do great. And we also got a casting news for the upcoming Transformers prequel movie. It's going to be an animated prequel film about Optimus and Megatron, called Transformers: 1.
Question: what is it a prequel to?
Yes. It's just a prequel to Transformers, I guess.
Okay, that's fine. I accept that answer.
They really didn't say. I mean, yeah. I hope you can't hear that. All right.
Nope.
Good. So we now know the cast of this. We knew this was coming for a little while. But Chris Hemsworth will play Optimus Prime. Brian Tyree Henry will play Megatron.
I love that. I just want to spotlight that real quick. I love that. I love that. I think that's awesome.
Scarlett Johansson will play Elita.
I think that's fine.
Keegan-Michael Key will play Bumblebee.
I also really love that.
Yeah. John Hamm will play Sentinel Prime.
Okay.
John
Hamm.
I like it.
Look, it's him doing animated stuff. That's cool.
And Lawrence Fishburne will play Alpha Trion.
I also love that.
I love this.
Everyone except the first guy.
I don't hate it. I'll be honest.
I don't hate it. It's just like it's like a Chris Pratt thing where like I think it's
better than Chris Pratt.
I'm just like, I guess it's just not gonna sound like Optimus Prime.
Here's the thing: Chris Hemsworth, not a bad voice actor.
No.
So I think
he done voice work before? Because
What if?
That's right. What if?
And he did a pretty good job.
Party Thor, yeah.
Yeah. I think he can deliver a pretty interesting Optimus Prime. If it's not going to be Peter Cullen, I don't hate this choice. I think there's worse options that are big names.
Instinctively, I'm not crazy about this. I like a lot of this casting. Brian Tyree Henry as Megatron is really cool.
It's most exciting for sure.
For me, it's Lawrence Fishburne though. For Lawrence Fishburne as Alpha Trion is for me phenomenal. I'm like so into that.
I hear you. I guess it's because like Lawrence Fishburne, I'm more used to doing like voice roles and the kind of thing that would be like an Alpha Trion. Brian Tyree Henry is like, that's a really new and exciting kind of thing. And like, what's he going to do with Megatron? And like, I don't know, that jazzes me.
Sure. And I hope that Brian Tyree Henry and Chris Hemsworth are able to, do something interesting and not just kind of do their own voices. And I'm sure that's what we're doing here.
It'll have like a robot layer to it.
Yeah, Chris Hemsworth. First off, I just want to be clear. I never expected Peter Cullen to be in this movie. If you're going to do a young Optimus Prime, it shouldn't be Peter Cullen.
Sure.
Yeah. I think that you should go with someone else. And I do think there are other voice actors out there that could have done a pretty good Peter Cullen. Chris Hemsworth feels kind of like stunt casting to me, and much in the same way as Ryan's point with that Mario was Chris Pratt. I agree. Who
I liked ended up liking. It's just not my first idea.
And I will agree with Sparks that it's not as bad. I actually don't think this is as bad as that.
Yeah.
But it's just, I'm not crazy about it. I really just have to see the trailer to really know.
May I just very quickly, I think Chris Hemsworth has proven through Thor that he's, whether it's Party Thor or his initial appearance as Thor or Ragnarok, I think he has shown that he's very good at capturing that heroic bravado in a earnest way that Optimus would require. I think Hemsworth can be capable of that. He can do it tongue in cheek, but he can do it earnestly too. Yeah. And that's why I think he could be a pretty good voice. Mm-hmm. So I'm more for than I am against. If we were going to get a big name star, I think this is a pretty good one.
Sure. Yeah. Scarlett Johansson, I do like as a voice actress. So her being Elita is kind of cool.
Sure.
They're definitely throwing lots of money at this. So
yeah. Wasn't it Dylan O'Brien was Bumblebee in Bumblebee? So
Keegan-Michael Key's a really good choice.
Yeah, I agree.
He's got a good energy for Bumblebee.
Mm-hmm.
I hope we see more Transformers. I'm sure we will. It can't just be these people.
I'm sure this is just core cast. We're gonna learn more.
I can't wait to find out who.
Starscream's gonna be like, who's gonna be Starscream? I'm really excited. Who's gonna be Starscream?
Who could be Starscream with this baseline? Who could
big name
Starscream? Who could it be? Who could do that raspy? Oh, Megatron.
See, here's the thing: you don't really know his performance, but Glenn Howerton from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia is like a high pitched like monster man.
I've seen clips enough.
He actually it would be like a perfect choice, but he doesn't do a lot of big things.
Sure.
Mag about Transformers says, to be fair, too, I'm okay with let's talk about Chris Hemsworth as Optimus. Give him a break from live action due to health. As far as Peter Cullen, yeah, I agree. I think Peter Cullen. I just never thought that Peter Cullen should be Optimus in this movie.
Sure.
Also, I'm sure. I know this is going to be big screen, big budget animated film on the big screen. I hope we call them Orion Pax and Megatronus in that movie, because that's who they were before they were Optimus and Megatron.
I can almost guarantee you it'll do like the first class thing before they were Professor X, before Magneto. Orion, my friend. It'll 100% be that, I think.
Yeah.
They just have to call him Optimus first to get the lay people into it.
They were friends. We know that they were friends back before the war. So
the war.
There's an interesting story to be had here that I'm still interested in.
The Cube.
You guys like Dodgeball?
Yeah, I do. That's a good movie.
Well, a sequel's in the works with Vince Vaughn set to return.
I'm cool with it.
I mean, sure. I have no reason to be against it. It just feels a little late, kind of like Zoolander, and that second one apparently is awful because I didn't see it, so I can't really say. But I'm not. I love Vince Vaughn, so I don't know.
Sure.
Yeah.
Do you think he's like coaching kids or something?
Oh yeah, this will be a legacy.
Yeah.
Something. Absolutely.
Yeah,
There'll be another tournament. Ben Stiller will hopefully be back. He's got to be back. The reason that movie's really funny.
Excuse me, my Taco Bell's coming back.
Oh no.
It's true. Ben Stiller is the funny part of
Nobody makes me bleed my own blood.
That's one of my favorite
taser, laser,
ridiculous characters he's ever played. So
he rules in that movie.
Street Fighter. The new movie. The new movie from Legendary has tasked Danny and Michael Philippou as the directors. These two did something called Raka Raka, which I'm not familiar with, for many episodes apparently, and the upcoming A24 film Talk to Me.
Oh, that looked good. Watch that trailer. Cool. I mean, this will be the third attempt, and it couldn't possibly be worse than the last one, The Legend of Chun-Li. That first one is actually really fun. The 90s one's actually really fun. It's like
Kristen Craig.
Yes, it is. Yeah. It is. That movie's awful. This is really cool. So I'm into it.
I have no
Street Fighter 6 is awesome. That demo came out. I am more pumped about Street Fighter now than ever. So this is like a perfect time. I'm into it. Give me a movie.
I have no investment in Street Fighter, so we'll see.
Blade.
Blood.
Nick Pizzolatto, the creator of True Detective, has been added to the scriptwriters. He's working on the script. Supposedly, he's replacing Michael Starbury, who was the last writer who replaced Stacey Osei Kuffour. So third time's the charm. And what I mean by that,
hard to write a Blade movie,
right? I will say, come midnight, he might not be working on that script anymore.
I have faith in this one because he's worked with Mahershala Ali before, and I think that's why they got him.
No, I know what he's saying because the writers.
Oh, the writers strike.
Writers strikes. If they can't come to a deal, midnight tonight, it's happening. Yeah.
Oh, that's so true. That's so funny. Well, let's hope those writers get paid because I want to see a Blade movie sooner rather than later. This guy rules. He is an exceptional talent. True Detective. That first season is an immaculate piece of art. It is incredible. Season 2, not so much, but that first season will always exist.
And you mean immaculate?
I said immaculate.
You said immaculable.
Immaculate.
Sorry, immaculate. You gotcha.
Munchables.
I was trying to figure out what word.
Immaculate. I thought I said immaculate.
It's okay.
He worked on The Killing as well. which is a great Danish show. He's a great talent, so like I'm really excited.
Yeah.
Hopefully we can. Why is it so hard to write a Blade movie?
That's why they got this guy, because like he's like he's a real.
I don't think the road to Blade would bother us nearly as much as if they had not announced Mahershala Ali way too early,
17 years ago.
Like,
yeah, sure.
In order to kill ostensibly the Netflix shows.
Yeah.
Good point. Justice League War World.
Sorry, Hulu shows, to kill the Hulu shows. My bad.
Hulu shows. Yeah, Justice League War World. This is going to be the next in the Tomorrowverse, which is the current running animated franchise for the DC original animated films. This is going to be Yep. This is going to see the Justice League take into War World, where they will unite to form an unbeatable resistance, able to lead an entire planet to freedom.
Is this the first Justice League?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay,
cool.
But it's not the first time we've seen the Justice League, because that happened in Green Lantern.
Understood.
It's a fish. I got a table, I'm sure.
So, the cast was announced. Obviously, Jensen Ackles, Stan Akatic, and Darren Criss are returning as Batman, Wonder Woman, and Superman. The Wonder Woman one is interesting because she was last seen in Justice Society, which is a different Wonder Woman. So that's kind of cool that she's back now. Stan Akatic is back.
She's a different Wonder Woman?
Yeah, so Justice Society World War II is set in an alternate reality. Fun fact. Good movie.
Weird. Okay, go ahead. Proceed.
So this will be joined. So Jensen Ackles. Sorry, I already said that. Ike Amadi will return as Martian Manhunter, reprising his role from Green Lantern: Beware My Power. Troy Baker will be Jonah Hex. Don't know how Jonah Hex fits into this, but that's kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
Matt Bomer will play Old Man. I only put that in here because Matt Bomer is the Flash in this universe.
Yeah, that makes sense. He's Old Man Flash.
So that's I don't know why they would keep Flash away from if Old Man is Flash. It's a weird way to. I don't know why they would just not say it.
A spoiler.
Maybe. Then why announce he's in the movie at all?
Because he's the Flash.
I'm not being clear. I'm sorry.
No, it's
no.
fun.
It means why announce Matt Bomer's playing Old Man, not just say Matt Bomer's playing the Flash.
Because I think it's like a plot point of the movie that he's not the Flash. He's known as Old Man, and then it'll be a big plot point or something that he's
right. So then my question is, why say Matt Bomer's in the movie at all?
I don't know, because I don't want to have a Henry Cavill situation.
Maybe.
Not that it's the same level or anything.
But either way, I like him as the Flash. I don't think he's. I think he was on Legion of Superheroes. I haven't seen it yet. But he's the reason why the Justice League formed. So it would be nice for him to come back. Brett Dalton will play Batlash. John DiMaggio will play Lobo, and he's replacing Ryan Hurst, who played Lobo in Superman: Man of Tomorrow.
Oh yeah. Oh.
Yeah, I like him.
Good.
He was Thor, right? God of War.
Yeah. He's like an up and coming. Like, I'm more than just the tough guy in TV shows. I can also be a tough guy in animated things.
Yeah, I really liked him as Lobo, so I'm kind of bummed about this. I do like John DiMaggio as Lobo. He was Lobo in the DCAU, so
yeah, we're not losing quality. It's just like I wish they could have stuck with the same actor.
Yeah. Robin Atkin Downs will play Mongol. Frank Grillo will play Agent Faraday, and Rachel Kimsey will play Maria Romanova. Rachel Kimsey was Wonder Woman in Justice League Action, so it's kind of cool.
Romanova can't be still.
Oh, sorry, Teddy Sears is going to be War World, like the planet.
It talks now. It talks now. It talks now.
Teddy Sears, Zoom from The Flash. Season 2 villain, pretend to be Jake Eric.
Oh, got it. I didn't know the actor's name, but if that's that guy, cool.
Yeah, cool. It's this guy.
Keep it in the universe. I like it.
Jeff Wamister, who was the director of Legion of Superheroes, Green Lantern: Beware My Power, and Justice Society World War II, and that's it, is directing the film. Jeremy Adams, Ernie Altbacker, who wrote Green Lantern: Beware My Power and Justice League Dark Apocalypse War, and Josie Campbell, who wrote Legion of Superheroes, Jurassic World Camp Cretaceous. They wrote the script for this movie. Jeremy Adams, comic book writer, currently writing upcoming Green Lantern book. Been writing the Flash for a couple of years.
That's cool.
But yeah, good team on this one, I think. Wonder Man has cast Josh Gad.
Cool.
So, that's cool.
Cool. That show continues to exist.
Josh Gad is in the MCU.
We did it. He did it. He did it.
Now he just ain't Star Wars.
He'll be in the Rey Skywalker movie. He's friends with Daisy Ridley.
He'll voice a droid.
I wouldn't mind him voicing a droid.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm good with that.
Like a goofy alien.
Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. Got some news.
Oh.
Andy Samberg has been cast in the film, and the rumors suggest Ben Reilly.
That's cool. I'm very into that. Especially after reading Dark Web, where Ben is like his most like derpy and like under seduction of like an evil lady. I can hear Andy Samberg totally like doing that. I'm like, that's kind of cool.
I'm into it.
Yeah. He's a clone of Peter Parker. That's Andy Samberg in another world could be a Peter Parker, yeah.
Sure. And then there's going to be a short film. I think we actually already knew about the short film. The Spider Within is going to be a short film that will follow Miles as he experiences a panic attack, which forces him to confront the manifestations of his anxiety and learn that reaching out for help can be just as brave an act as protecting his city from evil. Sorry, it's weird wording.
That is true.
Where is that short being released?
The short will be shown at the Annecy International Animation Film Festival.
Okay.
And then it'll probably be on Disney Plus sometime.
It's probable.
I mean, those Spider-Man movies just hit Disney Plus.
But I will see how long the transition period is, because like they're, Far From Home still isn't even on there, nor is
Spider-Verse. Spider-Verse isn't on there.
Yeah.
But I'm guessing the first place we see it, it's not going to be before the movie. Then it'll be probably on the Blu-ray release or something.
Makes sense.
Yeah, more Spider-Verse is good with me though.
Yeah.
I do wonder. I'm sure Spider-Verse will end up on Disney Plus eventually, right?
Eventually, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
I don't know exactly why we only got what we got, and they didn't dump all Spider-Man stuff on there right away. But yes, I suspect eventually.
Yeah.
It only benefits Sony.
It's true. It's a bad week for layoffs.
Oh yeah. No kidding.
We'll talk about IDW first.
Sure.
IDW has laid off 39% of its workforce this week. Editorial has also been gutted and half remain. That's a quote. This move was done in an effort to preserve capital. This is a quote, preserve capital and put the company in the strongest position possible to unlock value from its assets, including its intellectual property and ability to generate new intellectual property. This came straight from IDW.
That's the most lawyer-ass boss man thing I've ever heard.
Yeah. The marketing and PR team are completely gone. They're just not, they don't exist anymore. And apparently this is happening because after a disappointing first quarter for the company, mostly because there was no, quote, meaningful revenue from IDW Entertainment, which handles their adaptations.
Their adaptations?
There were no adaptations this year.
That's not the comics' fault.
Right, exactly.
That's not the comic people's fault. We are in an unprecedented time where people just keep getting richer and the people downstairs aren't getting any of that money, and it's only getting worse. And it's only going to get worse before something really bad happens, before people actually take a look at it. And I don't know when that's going to be. So like, the company's going to shrink, people are going to get fired. It's going to be, man.
Lord willing, will eventually be like Paris, and we'll just be burning the streets down until they treat us the way we're supposed to be treated.
We'll be doing writers strikes literally every week. Yeah.
Good.
That guillotine's going to stop being a joke eventually.
It's true. It's true.
Can you imagine?
They keep going the way they're going. Eventually, it's not going to be a joke anymore.
Yeah.
This is IDW has a rough go of it anyway, because they're not a comic book company that gets the same type of revenue stream as Image, Marvel, or DC, to name a few.
So lost a bunch of like licenses and stuff.
They lost a lot of licenses, and their licensed books, they don't sell. They're generally really well reviewed, but they don't sell the numbers that other comic books do. And part of that, I honestly think, has to do with the fact that their trade paperback turnaround is horrendously slow. If they could get their trade paperbacks in out there quicker, which might be like a chicken and egg sort of thing, because like, you know, the reasons why they're so slow is because they are cost cutting, because they're not making enough the money that they think they deserve. But also, I think they maybe make more money if they got them out quicker.
I think they also shot themselves in the foot by giving all their major IPs big FU hardcover collections. In what I mean by that is like they did that so notoriously and so clearly, and like put more love into the crafting of those hardcovers and more issues for your buck than what the trade paperbacks are that they put out, that it made everybody who's like loyal to TMNT, Transformers, Sonic, or Power Rangers wait even longer. Not going to get the trade. We'll wait for those hardcovers, because you're not going to, especially the way they release them, you're not going to get, they release them to be collector's sets. You're not going to get one and not get the rest.
Right.
But because they did that, like a whole bunch of people who would usually be picking up the trades don't, because the cost to benefit is so skewed to not being very good for the trades, the way that they release them, the amount of issues they give you. Because we've talked about this before with Power Rangers, it's only 4 issues at a time for the same cost I would pay for 6 anywhere else. And then, but if you get the hardcovers, you get much more bang for your buck.
Power Rangers, by the way,
that shot them in the foot.
Power Rangers is Boom, by the way.
I'm sorry. Boom.
Big Boom.
Yeah, admittedly, I'm part of the problem because I don't pick up their Star Trek single issues. I want to, I just don't have the room for it in my pull list, so I wait for the trades. But those trades come out so slowly.
Right.
I
don't think they've been good about publishing their trades, and I don't think that's just a money thing. I think they just have not been good at it.
Yeah.
I do think that's hurt them. Speaking as someone who has picked up Sonic trades, I do think that's hurt them.
Okay. Vice.
Mag brought up concern of Godzilla affected by their comics line before we move on to Vice.
Oh, yes. So concerned of Godzilla affected by the comics line. Yeah, I mean, look, I don't think they handled the transition, losing Transformers very well. They had many books ready to be collected and trade, and they let the license lapse before they could. Shattered Grid 2, one of them, just never going to see a trade collection. Godzilla comics have always struggled with IDW. This is not a new thing. That's why there's so many miniseries, because they just can't get an ongoing to do any money for them. I don't know. It's a tough situation.
Yeah, for sure.
And like, but to gut the to punish the comics because there's no adaptations out right now is ridiculous.
Well, that's capitalism. That's, whatever benefits the people at the top, and they only look at the dumbest information to make those decisions.
People are just
so depressing.
Yeah. Yes, it is. Yeah.
This week was so depressing for me, you guys.
You're
all right.
alone.
Yeah, you're not alone.
Vice.
Yeah, we're practically crying here.
Yeah. So Vice is shutting down its publication Waypoint.
Mm-hmm.
This will be the last day will be June 2nd. Obviously, you guys are familiar with Waypoint podcast.
I've been familiar with them since its inception.
Did
I introduce you to them?
You did.
Yeah.
I've been familiar with them since I moved in with Ryan.
But it was founded by a bunch of great people, but Austin Walker specifically, to go, hey, Vice is a great company. They won't shit all over us. And this happens. Vice is supposed to be one of the good ones. It's fortunately they're not. Waypoint, pound for pound, I think. No, I don't think. I think it is. I think it is the best video game podcast you can listen to.
Mm-hmm.
If you want a diverse crew of people, if you want incredibly thought-provoking conversations, people of all different age ranges, different tastes, backgrounds, it's so insightful, and they have such good rapport. That is like appointment podcasting. Like I am someone who like I can't be stuck in my own thoughts. I have to have a podcast on and something. I have to always be listening to something, doing something. I can't not do that.
Right.
Waypoint has been a staple in my life since its inception.
Yes.
They are so great, and even though people have come and gone, they always come back because they're all friends. And and they started Waypoint Plus, which is their subscription service, which I immediately jumped onto because it's $5 a month to support your favorite people. That's nothing.
Ditto.
It's just like it was unbelievable. And if you guys want to listen to one of the funniest podcasts of all time, listen to the episode that just came out the day after they found out they were all laid off, because they still recorded a podcast and the vibes are really, really funny and dark. It's just a lot of like, if you guys want to tune in, sorry, like there's a lot of kind of that energy. And it's like all these people are super talented and they'll probably land in good places.
Some of the best in their field.
Literally the best in their field. So it's like,
which is one of the reasons why like all this kind of layoff situation, this one specifically, is so upsetting, because it's like it's not just like these layoffs are maddening, but like it's so discouraging to anyone wanting to get involved in anything, I think, at this point, because you can be the best in your field and have your job taken away from you, and the job market as it is not looking to hire you anywhere else.
Yeah.
And like that's so just awful. That's where we are right now.
Specifically Patrick Klepek, who he's older than us. I think he's almost 40, but like he's been doing this since he was a teenager. He is like one of the definitive video game journalists. He doesn't podcast. He's a journalist. Like that dude writes. Dude, that dude's insane. And he got laid off, and he gave this incredible speech where he's like, I've been doing this my entire life, and if I can get laid off like this, it makes me feel like my entire life has been worthless, that I don't feel like I have value.
Right.
And that's heartbreaking. And like for what we do, like we don't get paid to do this, but like if the people who've been doing this almost longer than we've been alive can't do it, it is discouraging. It's truly discouraging, specifically for like journalists and like the type of thing this is. It is relatively new.
And like no names in their field. Like big hits for them to be taken down. It sucks. It's ridiculous to even ponder that like this is happening. Cutbacks are one thing, but like eliminating the entire thing. And again, like sure, no one has directly said this is to benefit the people on top, but it's to not cut down their wages and allow them to keep the same absolutely too high salaries while the company goes through whatever ebbs and flows it needs to.
So I got a quote here. This is Patrick Klepek responding to a big piece. The piece said that these companies remain highly profitable, but they have not seen delivering the kind of steady profit growth that Wall Street demands. Not their company, but Wall Street demands, because they had to answer to a higher power. And then Patrick said, Waypoint was profitable for a time. The company bragged about having a subscription business with steady income. The company stopped bragging when we did it too well right out of the gate. And they didn't like that we had lack of growth. We were making money, but we weren't growing. And that's what they care about. And that's just like, Waypoint wasn't losing money.
Right.
Like they had subscriptions for like playing video games online. Like they're the best in their field, but that's what, like they're video game people, right? But like that doesn't matter. Like they are the best in their field and they're not safe. And it was just a really hard week of like, wow, like even like the gods of the industry can't survive in it. And it's just like, it was like this really disheartening.
Yeah. I will, like Ryan, speak the praises of Waypoint. Waypoint is largely honestly responsible for certainly like the back half of my journey on Fake Nerd Network. Not even the back half, like after the first 2 years is when, we were living together and then I was listening to it, for informing myself to be more aware of not just the things that they would say, but that they would branch me off into all kinds of other things. Like I wouldn't have ended up at Ringerverse listening to that without Waypoint. Mm-hmm. Even if there's no direct line, there is a line of like people they recommended that I should listen to or follow, and then that person recommended Ringerverse. So like whatever the path is, like these are really important, influential voices who have made me the little socialist that I am.
Their tagline every time the podcast ends for 400 episodes, fuck capitalism, go home. That's their tagline. And when they said it at the end of this episode, I was like, wow, never has it been more apparent, fuck capitalism, go home. Because that's what we're doing right now. And it was just, it's a big bummer. Like this happened to Giant Bomb recently. Like all of like, no matter how prestigious you are, no matter how much money you might be making, people have higher standards that just shouldn't exist.
So because you said Giant Bomb, real quickly, this follows a number of layoffs and closures in games media, including the Washington Post shutting down its game section, Launcher and GameSpot, and Giant Bomb affected by layoffs in January.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I've talked about Giant Bomb several times because they've unfortunately have been firings, hirings, more firings. Because when you work for a big corporation, there's literally you're beholden to them. This really is like one of the like. It's just like these are just people who like talk about video games for a living, but like they're so insightful. And he said it like they made me a better person. They make me want to make better podcasts. I'm like, oh, that's what you can do with a podcast? Shit, I want to do that. I want to teach people. It's incredible.
Right.
So this is one of the biggest reasons why I mentioned it already. It was a very depressing week for me. And look, who am I? Wah, who, boo hoo. I was depressed. Wah, who cares? But
I care.
The thing that. Not for this, but these people are more important than me. The thing is, you're looking at a fundamental shift in the way these Wall Street companies are funneling money into into quote unquote journalism. They don't care about journalism anymore. If they can put a prompt in Chat GPT and not get mad and not get the whole internet mad at them for publishing a list about the 10 who the fuck cares listed by whatever the fuck, they're going to publish that more than they'll want to pay somebody a measly $18 a month, a week or a day. And so what you're seeing is this. This is that. This is the same thing. It's all fucking connected. The idea of the people. Maybe this is the public's fault. I hesitate to put blame on them because capitalism destroys lives. But like people just aren't reading journalism anymore. They don't give a shit. They care what Rotten Tomatoes said is the best Wes Anderson movie.
I don't even think it's that, because I think Ryan's right. Like the like from a lot of these people, like you have your steady and consistent and profitable audience. It's just not getting bigger. Like it's there. It's just not getting bigger. Yeah. And that's the idea, is like, oh, we got to have more, always more. And this is a problem across all the industries, like of, oh, we need growth. Growth is the only thing that means we're being successful, rather than like consistency, and stability. And this is in no way, like, I don't think this is the public's fault. I think this is very much just a reaction of the dovetail of everything that we knew was kind of going to happen post the pandemic, of the economy rewriting itself around what was going to happen and barrel itself towards a recession that everybody knows is coming one way or another, because it's all out of freaking whack, and everybody's being punished. Except the people on top, and this is more of that. So is the writer's strike. So like it's all happening, baby. Yeah. It's all just happening.
Mag brings up G4. Yeah, G4 lasted 8 months before they were canned.
Yeah, you're absolutely right when you say that people who are the top in their field aren't sure that they can get a job after this, because the companies just aren't hiring the top of their field. They don't care. These companies don't care about the top of their field. They want the cheapest.
Places like IGN or GameSpot, which those are like the biggest in their field, but like those people, there are people who work there for like 15, 20 years because like they know that that's the top and they can't go anywhere else. There's a lot of people, like I listen to a lot of IGN and GameSpot podcasts. A lot of those people have been there for a long time because they are the biggest and you can't go anywhere else because everywhere else is like smaller and they will get fired. Like it is like a weird, I don't know how the world will fix this, because again, like the digital age of like online journalism is really weird. It's a really weird thing when anybody really can like open up a webcam and like become a journalist. You know what I mean? Like, and it is real, like not discouraging, like, like murder mystery podcasts solve crimes on podcasts. Like, regular people can like do this kind of stuff.
Real quickly though, murder mystery podcasts aren't taking people's jobs away.
No, I'm just saying anybody can do it, but like our specific industry, it's a lot harder because like, it's a niche. Like only so many people want to read your opinion about a video game. It's not as broad as like a.
No, it's fundamentally the upsetting thing with like the layoff of Waypoint is what you said, which is the fact that like we know that they were doing well, we know that they were making money, and they were making money consistently for Vice, and yet the whole problem just comes down to growth, and like that's so idiotic because like they just measure it essentially is the revenue that we're getting in from the consistent revenue stream that is Waypoint Plus worth paying to have these employees. Yeah. And they ultimately went, nah. And like that is still to benefit someone who's up top, because they're like, I just want to see the numbers go higher towards profit and lower towards loss. And
I'm sure like Waypoint isn't the biggest of places. Like their videos don't get millions of views, and if their videos did get millions of views, they wouldn't be shut down. That is just a fact. Like if they had a bigger base, then they'd be around. But it wasn't big, but it was big enough where they weren't struggling. They were able to do this. It's just a bad day for video game journalism.
I truly think we're seeing the death of the writer. I really do. Like I'm sure you'll disagree, and frankly, I don't care. Like I'm looking at this, and I'm saying, and I'm looking at this, and I'm looking at people being paid nothing to write the most mediocre shit you've ever seen in your life because they don't care about journalism. The industry, the people above, the Wall Street people who are controlling these conglomerates, who are controlling these websites, those people do not care, and if they are. I quite frankly believe that they are succeeding in erasing the human element of journalism. I fundamentally believe that, and I think this is a symptom of that.
I mean, I don't think it'll last. These things, it just won't.
We're not prepared for the consequences should it happen. We're just not prepared for that. You cannot take the human element out of this.
I'm personally not worried about that anytime soon. But I understand the scare.
It's happening. It's not soon, Ryan. It's happening. This is happening. This is reality. This is people are losing their jobs because some Wall Street person doesn't give a shit about a human life, and we are barreling towards it. And sure, it's not happening soon. This is it. We are barreling towards the death of the writer. We are barreling towards human element being taken out of what is fundamentally human. That's what they want. That's what they're doing.
Yeah. You're not wrong. I will still read Patrick Klepek's his writing. He's not going anywhere. I'll still read my IGN reviews. There are still journalists making stuff. So like until Terminator starts happening, I am not like, of course it sucks. I listened to Waypoint my entire for almost a decade. Like, I know it sucks. They can still do that.
Just because you listen to Waypoint your entire life, I get it. My opinion doesn't matter because I've never listened to Waypoint. Who fucking cares? Like, I'm just saying that, like, I truly believe that we are going to get rid of the human element here. We are doing it. And yet you're right. You're right, Ryan. You're absolutely fucking correct. You're right. That whatever the guy who runs Waypoint is the idea of he will survive. He will be fine. He will write on his blog. He will write on Patreon. He will get money, whatever. But it's unfair. It's fucking unfair that has to happen. That this man had to lose his job because some Wall Street asshole didn't consider him a human fucking being.
I agree with you.
This man should be able to get a job. Should get stable economic work.
I agree.
We're in a fucking depressing place in our life, and it will only get worse.
I agree. And that's why I try to focus on the positive and try to because there are still people doing their best even in the worst of it. So I'm just gonna try to support those people if I can, while it's still available.
All I'll say on that is that progress has always been up and down, and it's never a straight line. And we're in a down. There will be an up. It will take a while, probably. There will be an up. It's the whole reason. Again, go to the writer's strike. There is a crippling happening where people are saying this can't work, and they might push on that line even further. And it'll be true for journalism. It'll be true for all of these things where it'll say we'll push on that line as far as we can in a corporate way. And they'll push it too far, and it'll have to bounce all the way back. And when it bounces back, it's going to have to bounce back with the leverage being on the side of the people who are the writers, because now they have the power. Because the corporations will lose the power because they'll realize the product isn't as good. And as long as the product isn't as good, it means it's not as profitable. Once it's not profitable, then it bounces back. And that's unfortunately how progress works in a capitalist society, but that is how it works.
Waves. Wave after wave.
It sucks. It does suck. There's a lot of shitty, terrible things that happen and shitty, terrible losses along the way. But it is ultimately the trajectory of we go down, we come back up, we get a little bit higher.
It's true.
On the note of Waypoint, super sad, devastated, honestly, about it. They largely are influential voices in my life. I'll still have them. They're still out there.
Yeah.
It just won't be in the confined Waypoint
They won't
way.
be together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I highly encourage people to, for whatever amount of time that backlog is going to exist.
I'm sure.
I don't know how long Vice will allow the feed to stay.
That's a good question.
But for however long that remains, go check out some Waypoint.
And some of them are on A More Civilized Age, a Star Wars podcast, one of the greatest Star Wars podcasts.
That's true. That's true. And learn how to say fuck capitalism and go home.
Yeah.
Trailers.
All right.
That's the first one.
Next goal wins.
The Taika Waititi sports movie.
I love Taika Waititi. He can't make me watch a sports movie. Sorry, Taika. It looks charming, but like, just not for me. looks really charming, not for me.
Sparks, you took the question mark away from this one.
Yeah. I wanted to touch on it. I just like the cast. I think it's cool.
Mm-hmm.
It's nice to see Michael Fassbender doing something in general, but it's nice to see him doing something light like this.
Yeah.
And I like having a very large and very clearly American swelling cast.
Yeah.
So A+ is for me.
Yeah, just the sports genre. It has to be like, you have to give me that extra oomph. And this looks just like, it looks like a good movie. It's just, not my bag of tea.
I really like Ted Lasso, so I'm kind of endeared to this movie at this point. So I'm interested and excited, honestly. I think it looks very funny.
Sure.
Yeah, I chuckled a few times.
Sorry I got heated, by the way. It wasn't about you guys. It's just
no, it's
very passionate about art.
We all are. That's why we're here.
Oh, I didn't mean to say that you weren't.
No, I know.
Not all what I meant to say.
I hate art personally.
No, I'm saying what I meant by that, Brandon, is that we're with you.
Yeah.
Even if we're not expressing it the same way, we're with you.
Yeah.
Should be better at this by now. I really like the joke where the ball hit everyone in the head and
that was a good one.
Blew away. I thought that was really funny. The Hunger Games, Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes.
I know nothing about whether or not this book was good. So
I
don't really know how to feel about the movie. I'm not that eager to return to the world of Hunger Games. However, I do think it's very funny in a visual film language way, that because the Hunger Games is as like where we saw it in the films, it's very gaudy for the people that live in wealth and very like poor rag like dress, right? That now, because of the time period, things are a little bit closer to their like you look kind of like a newsie, but you look like a little bit of a shabby newsie as opposed to a clean newsie, and some of the wealthier people just look like a clean
it's
newsie.
Not quite
like it's the disparity is not as crisp.
It's not
clear.
Prequel original trilogy era complete difference, but it is like 60. I don't know. This is a Donald Sutherland's Evil Man, but he's like 60.
It feels like
younger.
it's doing like late 50s, because some have black and white, some have color.
Oh, sure.
For like their TV radio thing and like.
Oh yeah, the aesthetic
and you're getting
of
like
yes,
the costumes and everything. Like you're very much like in this. They're 1955, and I'm like, oh, okay, sure.
I only saw those Hunger Games movies once. They're all fine. They're all cool. I love a battle royale situation. I play Fortnite a lot. We just read Avengers Arena. Great comic book. I just like the idea of a Hunger Game. As long as you give me a cool story, I have fallen in love with Rachel Zegler. So like, I will watch this for Rachel Zegler.
I was gonna say like it's a very good cast with Viola Davis and Peter Dinklage there as well.
Viola Davis looks sinister.
Viola Davis, and for all intents and purposes, the Snow position. What really has me interested, I guess, is that Snow seems to start as her mentor,
as like a good guy.
The Woody Harrelson role.
Yeah.
And then gets involved in the game somehow.
That is why I'm interested, because it's a guy's downfall, like his Vader thing. I'm like, that. Why do you get involved and want to run it, Mister? That's interesting.
I thought this looked awful.
It is. I will say, like, it is more of like, it's a trailer, but it feels almost more like a teaser. I don't think it's cut particularly well. I think it looks good though.
I watched 3 of the 4. There are 4 Hunger Games films, right? Catching Fire is
the third book is split into 2 films, and I also have only seen 3.
Yeah, I never saw
the ending of the last book really turned me off on the whole thing.
Yeah, I've really turned on the Hunger Games. I don't really care for it. I liked the books when I read them, and I think I liked the first movie when I watched it. But
I think the first two films, sorry, just to throw in, I think the first two films are still actually very solid films.
Yeah,
I think the fourth one was my favorite because that's where all the action happens.
Sure.
And I just kind of, I'm not, like Sparks said, I'm not interested in, well, maybe I'm paraphrasing Sparks, but I'm not interested in going back to the Hunger Games universe. I think it just feels like we're doing, regardless of what Snow is doing, it just feels like we're just doing the Hunger Games again, but 60 years earlier. Because Rachel Ziegler is from District 12. Yes.
I would have less interest entirely if it were just like a film prequel, but because there was a book, I'm like, okay, so there's gotta be some story there.
Yeah.
So like some impetus drove the author to want to return to this. I'm not saying that means it's good. I'm just saying like that means a little bit more than
just tossing it out there.
Just tossing it out there. Yeah.
Or she could have just really wanted a paycheck for a movie.
But here's did they need it? Like the residuals and like these are not the only things this author has written, so it's not like they had to go back to the Hunger Games. So that's all I mean is it's not just like a studio went, we need another Hunger Games, get a prequel, blah! And like there is something thematically intended about. I'm sure about it being Snow at the center of the story. You're a person who is the ultimate bad guy in the pretense of the other books, like telling some kind of story about what jaded him to believe that the way that society is run based around the Hunger Games, despite his participation in one, said, yep, this is the best way.
Brandon, as a prequelist, I'm surprised you're not into this because it's about the downfall of an empire through a good person.
Well, no, I know but the empire lives for the next.
No, I just wanted to make a prequelist joke.
If this looked like the prequels, I'd be more interested.
What I will say is that I'm less interested to return to the like teenage apocalypse genre still.
Yes.
I'm still kind of done with it because of the overload of it for like a decade there.
I follow too many young people online because people are like, oh my God, we're finally getting YA apocalypse back. And I'm like, oh no.
Right. Yeah. And I like, if you grew up on that, I'm sure that's very like, woo. I'm not as thrilled to see that genre again, but maybe there's some meat on these bones.
This is certainly the most I've thought about Hunger Games since that last movie came out like 10 years ago. So like, maybe I'm sure it'll be a good theatrical experience.
But we'll finally get that last Divergent movie.
It didn't come out. I don't know how many there are.
I don't think the end of Divergent ever happened. I
never saw a single one.
Aesthetically, I think that this movie's doing a lot of cool stuff.
I think it looks
for
good.
Like just the contemplation of like what is blah 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 amount of years before, and just how does that change what the districts look like, and how does it change what technology is like, and that could make for some interesting arena game ideas. Again, this is something that would have been thought of for the book, so like, and I haven't read it, but I'm sure it's in there. That's nice.
Yeah.
A Haunting in Venice.
Boy, this trailer really wants to convince you that this is a different movie than the movie it is.
I thought this was incredibly funny. I showed this as our without telling her what this was, and I was like, the biggest twist in this trailer, it's a Poirot movie.
Mm-hmm.
Because like it's setting up a completely different movie, and then Kenneth Branagh's mustache shows up, and you're like, oh, what the hell?
I will say, like, I thought that first one was fine. I'm not going to see the second one. But I will say this trailer did intrigue me that it's like a horror thing. And I hope, like, I don't know if I'll see it, but I hope it is a horror movie and it's not faking you out into, it is just like another horror one, but it's just like we focus on some of the horror for the trailer. I hope not. I think it is going to be like a horror movie.
Well, I feel like it has to be because like the whole construct of Hunting in Venice, from my memory, is that it very much is like one of those things challenging Poirot to question, is this the supernatural that I've encountered? Or is this just like the person who's behind everything is very good at creating the illusion and the mystery and getting people out of their heads about like, oh, am I actually encountering something spiritual? And I think that's a fun story in general when you got a like very like logical detective who has to encounter like we love this kind of noir pulp thing where they encounter the supernatural and something that makes them really question like
the hounds of basketball.
Have I found the real thing? Yeah. This happens all the time, and I think Agatha Christie did write a very good Poirot one. So if it's anything like the book, then yes, you are meant to live just like Poirot up until, a certain point. That is this the supernatural or not? And if I recall correctly, there's even still like the little bit of like, but this one part wasn't answered completely. Who knows?
Scooby-Doo.
Yeah, right, exactly. So like, I hope it does lean completely into that horror, and that makes the trailer not as much of a lie. It's very much like a horror film that turns on its ear once the reveal comes.
If I'm remembering when they announced this, I believe they're also taking elements of different horror themed Agatha Christie novels and incorporating them into this, because this story is as far as what was said in the interview when it was announced, isn't very long. So they're incorporating some things and they're writing their own stuff. So it theoretically could just be an original story at this point with the Haunting of Venice name. But
sure, yeah.
I thought this looked really good, actually. I really liked that first movie, The Murder on the Orient Express. I really liked that movie. I hated Death on the Nile. I think Death on the Nile is... I've told you guys about the mustache origin. Like, I just really don't like Death on the Nile. But switching up genres, I like Kenneth Branagh's Poirot. Switching up genres, putting him in the situation where you're playing with this, is it real, is it supernatural, is really interesting to me. So I'm actually really hoping that this delivers.
Yeah. My main thing is, while I like the pretense of the trailer and everything, I hope this isn't something where, while it does completely try and commit to the horror genre, it throws every kind of film horror trick out.
Sure.
It like is like, that's kind of all you get. There's nothing kind of its own or unique or inventive here. It's like, it's exactly the mirror trick, or exactly the sustained jump scare, Like, I hope it doesn't fall into all those pitfalls and traps, because Branagh hasn't done a horror film before. So
true. Kizazimoto : Generation Fire.
Yeah, this is the Afrofuture animation stuff we knew that Disney was working on,
anthology
with animated studios in Africa. I love it. Like, it's very Visions with like all these different styles and everything, but just knowing that we're getting authentic African voices creating these stories of Afrofuturism is a really cool genre. And I think there's a lot of fun to be had in it. So the fact that we're getting this, I think, is just awesome. This is one of those times where it's like, all right, Disney, wield that corporate hammer for the benefit of all.
Yeah.
Like, just take that big swing that you can do with your money and power and put this in front of a lot of eyeballs. I think that's great. Great.
Looks very cool.
I think this looks really cool. Wish.
I want this to be good because I really like the shift in animation going on here. There are some changes going on with Disney animation, which I appreciate. That some of the backgrounds are getting in more of that 2D effect. We got our little star friend. Definitely like a more popping Disney animation style than we've seen for a while. I'm digging that. I'm digging it a lot. You've got a voice cast I really like. You got Ariana DeBose, Alan Tudyk, Chris Pine. But there's nothing in this trailer that's it's a teaser. So I'm not holding it that too strong against it, but I'm not 1000% sold yet. I like that Chris Pine's the bad guy, seemingly. I want this to be a good story, considering that they want this to be like the origin of the wishing star as like a fable. And I think that's cool. You can definitely do some really cool stuff with that. I'm not 100% with it yet. I don't have enough information.
Yeah. Kind of in a similar way to Pixar's Elemental. Is that what it's called? Elemental?
Yes.
Yeah.
Where like everything you're showing me looks good, but I'm not connecting with it yet. Like I like the animation looks cool. I do like that is like, it's not your same old thing, but like I wasn't seeing anything that I don't think I'd like really have ever. I've seen all this before, and like it is a teaser, so I need more. I think the story is what I need, because like just the look of it, it's like, yeah, it's fantasy stuff.
I just don't know who she is yet.
Yeah.
Like in that it's hard to.
It's hard to
100% commit to that.
Kind of generic looking, but it looks great. But like the designs of things were just kind of like, yeah, that's like old fantasy stuff. Like it looks fine. It looks cool.
I think that's part of the point.
I can agree with that.
Then that kind of sucks because I don't think it looks good.
Sure.
Real quickly, Mag, in the comments. I keep forgetting he was a bad guy in Supermansion. Supermansion?
I know the show, but who are we talking about?
Chris Pine.
Chris
Chris
Pine, I
Pine?
believe.
I don't remember that. It's also been a long time.
Yeah, I think part of the point is to be in old fantasy trappings because it's like supposed to be the oldest fairy tale, or like even the origin of fairy tales. I don't know. We'll see. I'm eagerly awaiting another trailer. I'm appreciative at this point that Disney is trying to stretch with its animation rather than committing to the Frozen Forever look.
Yes, I agree with
that looks really nice. Also, super happy that Alan Tudyk's finding more uses for his Clayface voice, I guess.
Yeah, I mostly agree with what you guys are saying. I do really like the animation. I like Sparks' said already. I'm happy that they're stretching their legs there. But there's not the thing that I think that bugs me about the trailer is that I do like the snippet of the song that we get. Probably what is the big number of the film. I liked that, and I really like the actress, but I don't really get who this character is, and I guess maybe that's not for this trailer. So I gotta wait for the next trailer.
Yeah.
Transformers: Rise of the Beasts. Real quickly, I'll just say real quickly, with this trailer came the news that Coleman Domingo has been from Candyman, the most recent Candyman, and Fear the Walking Dead, is voicing Unicron.
Cool. We saw his eyeballs, so makes sense. He'll be talking.
So what do you think about Transformers: Rise of the Beasts? Oh, silence.
No, I like Transformers not as much as you guys. I'm sure you guys have more things to say than I do.
I am afraid. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know why this story has to have Unicron.
After Bumblebee,
right?
We're going straight to
Unicron
Endgame.
Yeah, where do you go after this?
Nowhere, I guess. To 2007 is what some would say.
God, that pissed me off.
No, you can't. Like, here's the thing. I saw them say that too. That they're like, well, like still living in this idea that this can just like Bumblebee, kind of like pseudo could say like, yeah, the 2007 Transformers is down the road. This one also wants to be like, yeah, the 2007 Transformers is down the road. And I'm like, no, that's not possible. I'm sorry. Way too much is happening across the world very publicly with the Transformers. You can't tell me that in 2007
Robots in the skies.
that like people just went, whoop, don't remember that.
Watch there be a giant Men in Black mind wipe.
And Unicron is in this movie, and he's in the center of the earth in the last night.
Yeah.
Oh my God! I wonder if they'll end it with it. No, they couldn't.
They couldn't.
Like it's only like 15 years later.
And he's bigger. He's much bigger.
I'll be honest. Like at the central conceit of there's like a rhino who turns into a robot. Like I'm here for this. I'm here for that. I like Primal. All that stuff's really cool. Like Transformers are cool. I really like Bumblebee because it wasn't giant and massive like the May movies.
It was small scale.
And like it looks impressive, I guess. But like that big action scene at the end, I'm gonna be honest. I'm just like, I just could not care less.
I just put real quickly because you said it looks really good visually. I think it looks great. Like I love Unicron's design, and he looks massive and like it works. I just don't think he needs to be in this movie. I also am curious. Now, I want to preface this is totally something that the trailers could be hiding from us, but I'm not sure why the Maximals are even here. Why are the Maximals part of the story?
Mm-hmm.
It has nothing to do with the Predacons. What are the Maximals doing here to help stop Unicron? I don't care.
It's an alternate universe or whatever.
But like the idea of the Maximals is that they came from the Cybertron's far future into Earth's far past, and that's kind of where they connect with. They become kind of a pseudo sequel and prequel to G1.
Yeah.
It convoluted as hell and wasn't the initial thing, but I think that's a really cool part of their story that makes them super unique and really interesting. And I can't believe I'm going to praise Transformers War for Cybertron Kingdom, but I think they utilized that idea really well of the Maximals and the Predacons ended up in the past of Earth to prevent a cataclysmic event that the Autobots and the Decepticons are going to be a part of. And Unicron, to be fair, is involved in that too. But here it's just like, oh yeah, we've been sleeping for 1,000 years and now we're here to help you stop Unicron. And like,
no, I don't think you're incorrect to like praise Kingdom. Like that is a part of it that made sense.
Yeah.
And was executed on well.
I think what this is, like, it's just them trying to simplify it. Yo, the old guys used to be here before the new guys. Like, I don't think they want to complicate it anymore when you have a giant Unicron coming to space. Like, I would love for them to do all the lore stuff, but like for the mass audience, I don't think they want to. Even if it's not confusing to us, they're not going to be going, we're for the far future, coming to the far past. So we're actually from the future. Like, I think that overcomplicates it for a general audience.
No, but what I'm saying is, you know what? General audiences responded really well to Star Trek 09, to Days of Future Past.
This is what I was going to say. I was going to say the same thing. Like, I was going to make the same reference to Star Trek 09 because, like, you can easily say, like, this would have gone the Michael Bay way, but it's not going to. And the reason is because here they are. They came from the future because they're altering an event that's happening in the past.
They could be hiding that. Yeah, they're probably hiding that.
Yeah. I hope they are.
But they say in the trailer, we've been here for 1,000 years.
Yeah.
Maybe they just missed the jump point.
They missed the jump point.
And you're right. You're right. That's perfectly valid. I'm not saying it's not part of the movie. I'm merely criticizing this trailer, honestly. Impossible to pass judgment on this film at this point. It just doesn't. What makes the Maximals unique doesn't appear to be in this movie.
Well, what I agree with you most about is that even if that were the point, the conflict I would still want to be around the Predacons being there, and like Unicron could be the thing that they're here to like alter the events of how it gets to and all that kind of stuff, but I don't think Unicron should be in this movie. Again, kind of praising Kingdom, it should be the thing on the horizon, a thing that's teased up, a thing that's built up to, the kind of thing where you have like Starscream have the vision where he sees Unicron and he's like, oh god, the battle between the Autobots and Decepticons means nothing.
We were wrong.
We were wrong. We're all wrong.
That Starscream stuff is so good.
Yeah, I think like the thing that really scares me about it is just this use of Unicron so early. It feels I'm getting Fantastic Four Rise of the Silver Surfer flashbacks. And like like we're gonna like blow our load on something in a way where we're not gonna understand it or execute on it very well because we're going for it too hard too quickly. And as a person who is like really like Bumblebee and likes the idea of this new version of a Transformers timeline where we could get refreshing, more accurate Transformers stories, Rise of the Beast had me very hopeful until this moment when we know that Unicron is now the big thing in the movie. And I'm like, I feel like we got here too quickly, guys.
Yeah.
I agree with that. And I also want to say, like, because you brought up the Predacons, I think you're right. Like, the conflict should be the Predacons, honestly. Like, I don't understand why. I get the thing that bugs me. This is gonna be a little bit longer than I anticipated, but real quickly, I'll try to make it quick. But in Bumblebee, they wanted to use Megatron in the opening. You know, that really awesome opening that has all the Transformers looking like they're supposed to. And the reason, and the producer said, you can't use Megatron because he's in ice on Earth at this point. It's dumb. Whatever. Okay, fine. And I feel like we're getting a similar trajectory here, where some producer is like, I'm so concerned that the reason why the Predacons aren't in this movie is because they're led by someone named Megatron, even though it's not the same Transformer. And some producer said, Megatron's in the ice, actually.
I really think that like if you had this movie be about the Predacons and the Maximals fighting, and the Predacons free Megatron from the ice, and that's like your inciting incident of like, now the timeline's different. It's changed. This won't be the same.
Sure.
Unicron will come, like all this kind of stuff. Like that could have been a cool way to do it. And like, I don't know. I'm hopeful. There's a lot of cool visual stuff going on in this movie. Whatever that highway chase scene is where RC's like, you know, hanging off the van and shooting. I'm like, I'm into whatever's going on there. That looks great. I really like Anthony Ramos. I hope he's got a real good. I don't know what's going on with Take the Keys. I don't know what he's doing.
That's so in the original in the movie, the first movie, the kid, I think Spike is his name. He had a suit that allowed him to become a little mini Transformer. I think that's what that is.
I don't remember that. Oh man.
That's fun. I'm hopeful because there's a lot of fun and cool elements, and I want a good continuation away like in the direction of what Bumblebee was doing. I don't know.
What I feel like what's going to happen is that we're going to get 2/3 of a Bumblebee, and then the final act will be giant and kind of ridiculous
and rushed and too much.
And
this is why I'm getting Rise of the Silver Surfer vibes.
Yeah.
I do really like I continue to really appreciate the design aesthetic of most of the Transformers going back to their original aesthetic. They're going back to the originals. What the hell did you do to Wheeljack? Why did you do that? I don't get the glasses. It's weird. RC looks great though. I think RC looks fantastic.
Question: You're fine with robot beards, but not glasses.
Who has a beard?
What's the guy in Transformers 3?
Hound?
No, he was just talking about in this movie.
No, I'm just making a silly joke.
I wasn't okay with that either, by the way.
Okay, no, then we're okay. Yeah.
I think Brandon's point is like so much of this has gone back to the classic designs, and then there's Wheeljack that's bringing much more of the base style design with like the full lips and the glasses and like.
Is he still technically an executive producer on these?
Oh, he might be. I don't know.
Yeah. He gets that 5% bay gets to come in.
And like, but like the last time we saw the Transformers, these Autobots, they looked like they did in G1, and you can make the case that they constantly change. But why did we? I just kind of feel like you got to go by the silhouette thing. If you look at a silhouette of Optimus Prime, and you can't tell that's Optimus Prime, maybe you should tweak the design until you can.
Yeah.
And same thing with like Wheeljack. Wheeljack's got a pretty distinct silhouette with like the bigger ears and the wings and the mouth plate. Like, I don't get why we decided to go forward with this Bay, was more closely looking like Michael Bay. And also on that note, we need to get rid of Optimus Prime's lips. I'm sick of them. I don't want to see them anymore. Keep that faceplate on.
I think we're like 16 years too late.
I agree, but they need to do it. I'm done with them.
I'll tell you what, I agree. But as we keep getting instances where his cool mask thing goes over, and I always love that when a cool mask gets to do a thing. So I'll take the bad to get the good. That's
fair. I hope this one is good. Stephen Cable Jr. Was the director of Creed 2. I really like Creed 2, so
I'm hoping for the best because again, Bumblebee was such a good like palate cleanser, and it just did give me a little like, oh no, just a little bit.
Again, I think the Unicron looks great. Shouldn't be in the movie though. I talk about that on Kaiju Weekly if anyone's interested in more bitching from me about this movie. All right, main topic.
It's time.
Sisu.
All right. So we're going to talk about Sisu. Written and directed by Jalmari Helander. And normally I don't say who it's starring by, but because I wasn't familiar with this actor, I wanted to shout him out. Starring Jorma Tommila.
Yeah.
This is full spoilers for this action film. So if you have not seen this movie, you know the drill at this point. Pause, skip, go away, do whatever, not to get spoiled if you don't want to. Otherwise, what do we think about this?
I had such a good time watching John Wick's grandpa kill Nazis. Oh my gosh. Loved it. Like, man, let me tell you. I said this in the car. If you give me once a month a 90-minute tight action movie with very little dialogue that's heavy on vibes, I will be a happy man the rest of my life. This is like it gave me John Wick 1 vibes of like, like cool aesthetic, great action, it doesn't overstay its welcome. I had a fabulous time with this movie.
Sparks?
Yeah, I mostly echo what Ryan said. I think that it's just refreshing to have this story set in the avenue it is. Like once we get the opening and it establishes, what's being done with Finland as Germany is vacating, is that they're like, okay, we have to leave, but we're gonna like destroy everything we see in our path as we go.
Scorched
because F you guys, hate that we're losing. Real sore loser action, and I think that's just a unique place to set a story. And then Finland is beautiful. It's just a beautiful, well utilized by the cinematography countryside.
Oh yeah.
To see. So all of that was just a pleasure to watch. And then on top of that, our main actors, our main cast are really great. Especially as you spotlighted Jorma Tommila, who doesn't talk until the very end of the film, but delivers a great performance. And then Axel Henny, who plays the lead Nazi, and some of his other group, like they're all so good. It's an enjoyable way to watch Nazis get messed up.
Yeah, I actually completely agree, frankly. I loved this. I thought this was really fun, incredibly tight. Love the pacing of it. yeah, I love a good Nazi killing movie. Like, what can I say? It's maybe gene coded in my DNA, but I love it.
Yeah.
I had a great time.
Yeah, I don't think there's a lot of, and this is not a negative, but just like John Wick, like there's not a lot of depth here. It is a very straightforward, man on a mission, trying to live his life, gets gotta get revenge. But it's just like it executes everything it's trying to do perfectly. I love the extended. I didn't realize that he wasn't going to talk the entire movie. I thought it was just going to be the opening act. But halfway through the movie, I'm like, this guy hasn't said a single word yet. I love it. I love this. Yeah, what Sparks said, like I find all the villains, I love them. They're exactly who they need to be. They're assholes. They're abusers. They're sexual assaulters. They're everyone who needs to die. That kind of thing. So like you don't mind.
And they have such interesting character quirks on their own. Like everyone that we meet is a well-rounded character. Everyone who has a speaking role, really, you get everything you need to know about the character, and they feel like real characters, which makes the Nazi killing extra good.
Yeah. Our guy, like the first 20 minutes. It's just him walking around, mining, digging, hanging out with his dog. And I'm like, this is great. I love this. It's just, we're vibing. Just look at this cinematography. It looks gorgeous.
I think that's one of my favorite shots in the whole movie is this part where he goes up and he looks over the countryside way, way, way off in the distance where the mountains are and sees the explosions of war and knows that it's happening. But he stays away. And I will admit that this is where I started to try to figure out what his motivations were and who he was at this point in the movie. And I set myself up for failure because when he has that moment, he's messing with his ring. Mm-hmm. And I interpreted this as a man trying to get this gold to benefit his family, to like give them a life out of the war and out of what the war had done to them. And then we learn later that like he has no one and nothing.
They died.
This wealth is just for him. And that made me a little less invested in his need to recover the wealth. I was like, I mean, like, I don't want the Nazis to have it, but like, that was, I set myself up for that by creating an idea that I thought that the movie was trying to tell me at that point in time.
I get that. That's a bummer. Cause like, I definitely,
I really quickly just want to say like, that's interesting because the way I interpreted that same scene, always love how two people can read something so differently and both be valid, which is that I thought that the Nazis had killed his wife and child. And that's how I interpreted that kind of lamenting ring turn. So I found that fascinating.
Yeah, I thought that part of what the movie was trying to tell us was, and it was me searching for like why is the gold going to be so important if it's for his family, if it's for his wife, then that meant more to me. When they paint this picture of this man who has lost all this stuff, wealth becomes the only thing. I was like, that's fine. That's fine. That's fine as a motivation. I don't have a problem with it, I guess. Certainly don't want the Nazis to have the gold.
Yeah. Yeah.
I really like the use of setup and payoff in this film. I talk about it a lot with action films. I think it's really important that you set something up and pay it off. There is one spectacular payoff that I threw my hands up because I was so excited for it, and that was the nuclear bomb on the plane. There's a shot on the nuclear bomb, I'm like, oh, use it, and then we see how he's going to use it, and I was just like, yes, home run.
Not a nuclear bomb, but just a bomb.
Oh, I thought it wasn't. It was just a
nuclear bomb would have done far more damage.
Hiroshima.
Well, if a nuclear bomb isn't armed, if the nuclear bomb isn't armed, it's not going to explode like that, right?
Well, but they also shouldn't have a nuke at this time.
That's true.
Yeah, they don't.
On that plane, you're right. That's true.
So I think it's just a warhead, not a.
Either way, doesn't matter. Excellent moment. Loved it so much. Rose my hand up in excitement. I just truly just like that like nailed it for me. How much I love the movie.
Definitely, the movie went a whole half a point higher just because of him plummeting to his death, saying "F you" while attached to that warhead. I was like, all right, you got it. Good movie.
I knew the dog was going to survive because the trailer has a little sticker. Don't worry, the dog survives. And I think that's really funny because we're just trained in society. We're like, oh, you see an animal in a movie? Oh no, something bad might happen.
I did not see that. So when that dog came up with the dynamite, I was like, huh!
Yeah, I knew. even then, that was the moment where I'm like, did they lie to me? Oh my god, because that dynamite's about to go off. That is a great moment. It's so funny how like I really I like the Nazi characters, but like I like them because like I know they're awful and I know that they're having bad things coming to them. But the guy I like the most for some reason is the tank driver who doesn't really have any lines. Half his face is burnt, and you just know this dude like. He like has like a hard on for Sisu. He thinks he's so cool. He's always looking at him. He takes his hat off to respect him after he kills him. And I'm like, that's just a fun little thing. He burned half his face and he still respected him. And then the colonel's like, no, you're right. He is a badass. I think that's great. I was sad when he got shot in the face by the colonel. I'm like, oh man, Nazis be Nazis, I guess.
What's really interesting is that they knew that we'd like that character. So watching Sisu kill that character. Not down with that. Watching a Nazi kill that character, down with that.
Yeah, that's the mine scene. I think is fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Gosh,
oh my god,
all the open fire.
When that horse exploded, I was shocked.
Oh yeah.
I knew the moment they were doing the slow motion shots on the hoof stepping. I'm like, it's gonna step on a mine.
And for like 30 seconds, he held that horse.
Yeah. I really like that he even warns the horse after it's. I like that. One of the best kills is in the trailer, which it's fine. It sold me in the movie, but when he throws the mine at the dude, great moment.
Isn't it stuck to his panning thing? He throws it like a shield.
No. He still has the shield.
Oh, he does. Okay.
Because we just see it fly out of the smoke.
Yeah,
and
just like flips,
lands on him.
Yeah.
How does he pick it up? That's crazy.
He would have like dug it out and grabbed it from the bottom and like tossed it.
And one of the things another moment I really like in that same scene is just like the two we see it in the trailer, the two Nazis kind of running on both sides. What we don't see in the trailer is that when one blows up, the other blows up, and then the leg blows up a third mine.
Right.
That was great.
How many mines did you plant? All of them.
That's just the fear, like, damn it.
I was kind of surprised at the mine sequence because of that. Like that, he asked that question after those guys have blown up, and then we don't get any more mine explosions after that.
Yeah,
I was a little surprised, but it's fine. We didn't need to.
Yeah, I think the opening. Ryan already mentioned it. The opening with it's just a while, honestly. We spend a lot of time with this character where there's no action happening. He's just it's just he's looking for gold, and when he finds the gold, he gets on his horse and starts going, and like that's a while, and I really like that. I think it's a really interesting mood piece and really tone piece, and one of the kind of shout out to the pacing of this film. I'm not bored. I'm not sitting there waiting for the action to come. I'm engaged in the movie still, and there is no action happening. I'm just enjoying this time with this character.
Yeah, because it's a well shot movie, and again, being in Finland, like that place is beautiful, and it's like allowing a place to exist, like that is cinema, baby. It's just like, look how beautiful the world is sometimes, and look what the Nazis are doing to it. Real quick, anytime, and I said the Sparks, like I love it. Like anytime you show me a map in a movie, and like arrows are pointing to it in Indiana Jones, or the Nazis are burning it from the inside, I go off for that shit. I don't know why I love maps in movies and video games so much. But I thought the opening, I was like, cool. Also having chapters, they didn't need it, but it was fun, and they were getting more broken up over time.
I liked the title cards. I thought that was very fun. I liked that attack on it. I really like the map bit again with the narrator at the beginning. Like it fills you in, and I think that's really nice. Again, like it's giving you this window into a pocket of World War II that we're not usually exposed to. So I thought that was a lot of fun. The scorched earth, the way they explain the scorched earth, and like the Nazi symbol with the fire spreading out in a circle.
Love it.
Mag says, I'm glad that we never got too deep in his past when he fought in flashback scenes. I agree.
Yeah, I'm glad we stuck in it.
You get all the information you need, and I thought it was interesting where it comes from and how, but like from the other German general on the other side of the radio saying that just leave that guy. Don't even
just go home.
It's not worth it.
Oh, and I really, really like the villain's motivation.
Right.
Because
it makes perfect sense.
It makes sense. And like this dude, he's the leader of this army, and it's a war he knows he's losing. And he knows if he goes back, then like he will probably get like court-martialed or murdered or anything awful. So he meets a man who has enough gold to run off for paradise forever. He's like, this is my out. This is how we win. And I'm like, bro, I love your motivation. I can't wait to see you get murdered. It's so good.
there's a moment in this movie that I really love. Again, I'll name many before the night is over, I'm sure. But when they come upon the crashed plane, and they're looking at the guy in the plane, the dead pilot, and the guy's like, "That's my rope, the one we hung the dude with."
Yeah.
And everyone's like,
everybody move.
Oh, the colonel looks up at the sky like, God.
Yeah, I thought that was really funny. Like because at that point we built that up, so like we feel that, like the Nazis are like, oh shit.
We got the girls, the Finnish girls who are captured, and they luckily they have a great scene where they get a bunch of guns, and it reminded me very much of the scene in Sin City when all the girls are on top of the rooftop and they're shooting down all the gangsters below. And like, we gotcha. That was really fun. It's like, you know, it's always a good time seeing like a bunch of machine guns.
No, I really like the way that they put. This is a good point because I really like the music in this point to bring up that I really like the score.
Yeah,
I thought the score was a really cool choice of this kind of hard rock sound,
heavy guitars.
Yeah, I thought that
guttural
when
vocals.
When it's pulling up on the side, it's like somewhere between like Mad Max and the Northman.
I definitely felt like Mad Max. It's just on a road. Our story's on this road.
No, I meant in like the score.
The score, yeah,
the score is like living between Mad Max and the Northman score.
Gotcha. I also feel the movie also.
Yes.
Mad Max.
Yeah. The part where they pull up on the side and they take out the Nazis is really good.
She's just driving the car. And she's like, "What's up?"
I also like that he leaves the only guy who were shown with film language clearly was raping at least one of them.
Yeah.
Is left to them at the end. I thought that was pretty good.
Yeah.
The humor in this is very funny. I think the movie is just in general very funny. There's a bit where they're like someone like they're like, why'd they slow down? So they honk, and then they like wave the dead body to give the okay. I thought that was very funny.
Oh my god, the biker duo. They're like, was that one of ours?
Yeah.
Was that Ben? And they just jump out of the car and just run away.
They just get there and he just raises his pitch axe.
Whatever the name is, Koshi or whatever it is, and they're like, gun cock. Bye.
They just get out of the motorcycle and leave, because I love how slowly they show up at this moment. It's like, yep. I don't. You know what? It's fine. These guys are weird.
And he dares them.
Oh yeah.
It's like
in a very Ben Magnet being his Mary Frankenstein character, like, you dare cross me. There you go, Ben. Hope you enjoy that whenever you see Sisu and listen to this review.
What was the it's like the moment in Iron Man 3 when the dude, these guys are so weird.
These guys are so weird. I love that.
Mag brings up the best scene is when the hero is stitching up his wounds and the pilot is watching in horror. I agree.
Yeah.
That German dude was so funny. Shoot the dog! Shoot the dog! Oh no, my friend's dead.
Yeah, just like closing it with like these handmade stitches and staples that he creates for himself to close it, and then putting the gasoline on it. And I'm like,
digging the bullet.
This is pretty gnarly, man.
Yeah,
this guy should be dead. He just refuses to die.
Willpower.
This guy should have been dead a few times. He gets hung, and nope.
Strong neck. The thing
that plane careens down and disappears.
Yeah,
it's just gone.
Oh my gosh, that was so gnarly. The way that he stays up there is like he gets hooked into his wound. Oh man,
that bleeds for hours.
Yeah,
that man is still living,
immortal.
That dude died like a week later from the infections. He definitely gotten all his wounds when he landed in the muck. Like, at bare minimum, that guy is dead.
The thing that I like is, like, yes, he is like our hero and he's like basically invincible, but like this dude is taking naps like 3 times in this movie because he is so tired and about to die. He definitely falls asleep twice and wakes up to Nazis.
Go ahead, Sparks.
I was gonna say real quick to the scene that Mag is talking about. One of my favorite things was before it is that it's something that you don't often get, which is where, like, for just an instant, without him saying anything, we do get the notion that it's like, no, he's gonna give up now. Because he puts the gold in the dirt and he buries it, and he's like, that's it. As long as they don't get this gold piece, like, it's the bare minimum I can do. Here we are.
Yeah.
And then he sees the plane. He's like, oh, well, F this.
A chance.
I think that I think this guy surviving so many times, and the naps are a subtle way of cueing in the audience that, yeah, we're stretching this believability, but not so far that you won't be with us anymore. And the film is already presented itself as this kind of absurd action film.
Sure.
And so like he survives a plane crash on a plane made out of tape and screws.
Right. Yeah.
that sank into the muck, and we want him to get out of there. Like there's no question in our minds that he didn't survive that, and that's how good this kind of world that we have inhabited for 90 minutes is.
He inhales oxygen out of the blood.
Oh my God.
Slit neck of one of his enemies.
Not just
underwater.
Incredible.
Too, yeah.
Incredible.
In underwater, he's like, and I was like, man, I've never seen that before. Wow. That's some video game shit. I love it.
You gotta
I adore it
on that wound to get any oxygen out, my man.
He's done it before.
I love it.
Getting in there regardless.
Yeah.
I love it because you see like he's like Jaws, right? In that moment, he's like swimming in there, and you're like, oh, he's gonna get it, and he cuts his throat, and like, oh, he got it, and then it gets worse, and he just breathes through the neck.
The guy's just rowing away. We shoot deserters. I don't care.
Yeah. No, well, what's incredible? What's so funny about that moment
is more of a chance with you shooting at me than I do getting in this water.
Because it's revealed that actually Sisu is pulling the boat at that point, and so like they both have the two Nazi generals are both like, oh shit.
Oh man.
Yeah, right. They both look at each other like,
damn it.
Yeah. Yeah. There is a scenario where this movie is 2 hours long, and we get backstory, and there is like family stuff, and like for a movie like this, you don't need it. Just like, like keep it simple, keep it easy, keep it sleazy,
keep it safe,
keep it safe, keep it simple, keep it safe. Simple sort of.
I think we get everything we need to know about this character from this man's performance, from Jorma Tamala. Like his performance is incredible as this in this silent role, where again he doesn't speak until the final moments of this film. And I just think it's like such masterful acting that he is just. We get it. We see his fear. We see his fury. We see his fear when the surprise when the dog shows up, the happiness, and like he has got such an incredible range of motion that you absolutely see and feel through his face, and I think it's so good.
This guy directed a movie that I love that I didn't know. He directed Rare Exports: A Christmas Tale, which is about a bunch of crazy elf Santas. Love that movie. This guy's super cool. Yeah. This is so cool that this movie, like, I don't know how well it's doing or how big it is. It wasn't at our local theater, right? So it's a smaller movie.
No, well, yeah, it is a smaller movie.
Yeah. I definitely know like budget, but like the distribution wise, but like
because it's international and then being distributed.
Yeah.
So,
but this being like a Finnish movie, where most of it is in English, despite our main character, like the guy he's a Finnish actor, and most of these people are Finnish actors, Finnish writer director. So it is interesting that like it is mostly in English, just so it can get to the world more and definitely to America. But I'm just glad that like, man, it's so cool. This is this is all Finnish production. Like watching those credits, there's so many crazy names. I'm like, man, it's awesome. I love it. Not a Johnson or Smith in sight. Love it.
I love when he shows up at the bank at the end and he's just get the guards at the bank are like holding the guns like, should we shoot this guy? And he just walks in and he's making all this noise and everyone's looking at this guy and he just dumps all the gold on the table. It's just such a good moment. Such a triumphantly good moment.
It's really funny because up until now we've only seen like the dirtiness of war. And then we go into this building and everyone's wearing suits and ties and hats and the pretty ladies are all like dolled up and like this man's just like stomping mud into the place and like that is funny. There's a whole other world that he's not living in right now. I think it is a fun way to end the movie too. Just like I thought he was going to end on, I'd like to make a deposit.
I did too.
Yeah. I think that would be really funny, but like it would be a lot. It's less heavy if it's in bills.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's not. It's fine.
I'll take big bills, please.
Yeah.
Should be easier to carry.
Yeah. And again, like I didn't need to know like his motivation or anything. I'm happy that he just got some money. He went through a lot.
He just really wants that gold.
Yeah. If I found all that gold too, I'd be a millionaire.
I really like the line of dialogue that the Germans talk about his past. We're just like, he eventually just got so crazy. They just let him loose and let him kill whoever he could. At one point, he killed 300 men.
They just pointed him because they couldn't control him anymore. Like, hey, can you go kill those guys, please? We won't say anything about it.
I really like this movie. Like Ryan said earlier, there's really not a lot to digest about this film. Not to digest. It's a great movie. I think we all agree. Should we rate?
I will give it a 9 out of 10. I think it's a great time at the movies. I can see this movie like being like a cult classic. Like I really like. I think it's really cool. I think it looks great. Just a great low budget action movie.
Yeah. Sparks?
Put this right up there with Inglourious Bastards. You want to watch some Nazis get messed up? It's a 9 out of 10.
And I'm pretty sure that the main Nazi in this movie is one of the guys in that movie too. In the Michael Fassbender bar scene.
I'll find out.
Please find out. It's got
Excuse me. I will actually give it a 9.5. I had a gloriously good time with this movie. It's funny, it's awesome, it's everything, and I mean awesome in like the literary sense of the word. Like it gave me awe.
Mm-hmm.
I love this movie. I thought this was great.
He is not in the Inglourious Bastards.
No, he just looks so much similar.
He is in the Cloverfield Paradox. Apparently,
he is. I do remember that. Oh no, he's a guy. Yeah, he does look very similar to a guy I'm thinking of. But that's that's sometimes happens.
All right. Shall we go into our book club then?
It's time.
Symbiote Sisu.
All right, Sparks, take it away.
All right, hey, it's me. I picked a little something. It's a King in Black tie, and it's called Symbiote Spider-Man, The Sword and the Spirit. It's a 5-issue story. It's by Peter David, and with art by Greg Land and Jay Leestein as the inker, and Frank D'Armata as the colorist. And I really enjoyed it. It's a nice little story. So the whole pretense of this is that it is set during the time when Spider-Man had the black suit on and didn't know it was an alien symbiote yet. Things hadn't quite hit the fan, as they would say. And
this is the late 80s, early 90s.
And that is to say that there are some other series by this team that are Symbiote Spider-Man, like little vignette stories, 5-issue stories that take place in this time period that are like fleshing out Peter Parker before things got out of hand. And I think that that's really fun. And so what you get is you get these encounters with Kang and Rocket and Uatu and Captain Marvel, and it's all set at this time period. So like they're all according to the knowledge base that would be had for that time in the comics, which I think is a lot of fun. And the story is basically revolving around what I really like as a summation, real quick if I can find it, is when Mr. E is in Smythe saying, as the eclipse is coming over the sun, this is a display of the Shadow Realm. As matters progress in the future, it ripples back to the past. History rewrites itself. Or did you just think creation ran only one way? So the implication being that like the events of the King in Black Null being freed at the time when it's happening in the King in Black event is rippling backwards to cause these events with Mr. E
it's like Dr.
and other things to benefit Null in the future, which I think is a lot of fun. It's just a cool tack to do on it, and you get all this kind of crazy interactions and energy because Peter doesn't know about the symbiote stuff, but these things are reacting to the symbiote
brother
and, like, regarding it as brother, which I think is a lot of fun. And so he gets wrapped up in this whole story based around the Black Knight's Ebony Blade. What did you guys think?
Before I say my thoughts, we did a Peter David book. I was going to say a couple weeks ago, but time doesn't work that way. Probably months by now. That it was FF 1602, and that book's awful. That is an awful book. Sparks, I loved this book.
Yes.
I was worried because I've read a lot of Peter David, mostly X-Men and some of his early Spider-Man stuff. Like he when he hits, he really hits, but when he sucks, he really sucks. So I didn't know what Peter David I was going to get this time. And man, like this is Peter David at his best. Like he is such a good Spider-Man writer. He is so good. Like there's a reason this dude wrote Spider-Man for so long. I thought this book was so fun. This is like a quintessential comic book. And I'll be honest, this kind of unlocked something for me because like I read a lot of comics. I don't read a lot of these flashback comics. The X-Men right now have a lot of them going like, oh, we're doing the X-Men from the 90s with Chris Claremont and like Fabian Nicieza. And it's just like, I just don't want to revisit those old eras. You know, I'm someone who lives in the future. This book was so good. I'm like, wow, oh, of course good stories can exist at any time. Like that's a dumb way to think. And like, this is going to make me read other comics because like a story is a story regardless. And like, it was like a weird mental block I put on myself, but like, I think his characterization, specifically his Jameson, is top notch. Oh my God. His Jameson is so funny. Dude, I can't believe how much I laughed in this book.
That bit he has with Betty Brant where he asks like, Betty, would you say that I'm I forget what it is. Shit.
Mr. Jameson, you called? Would you say I'm reasonable? No need, sir. You said enough for the both of us.
Right, yeah.
Also,
top
real quick,
tier.
Greg Land is known as the guy who traces pornography, and I'm not saying he did that for this, but he's a guy who loves a big open mouth lady. I'm just saying, a lot of open mouth ladies in this comic.
I want to say because you brought up Jameson, there's a bit that I really like where he's running away from Mr. E. No, from Ned, in the shadowy suit, and he runs away. He's like, I don't know what's happening, but I bet Spider-Man has something to do with it.
Right.
Yeah.
I love when Spider-Man saves him. I have that here, and he comes crashing in and saves him. And Jameson, who had just been panicking, he's like, it takes a moment. I'm billing you for that skylight.
Yeah, I love this. I had a lot of fun with this one.
Yeah.
I really like Kang.
God, yes, me too.
I really like Kang in this.
Okay.
I think he's fantastic.
Yes, one of my favorite things is having Kang and Uatu in this story, and both of them having like more knowledge and learning more about the King in Black and what's going on with Spider-Man. And they're like, oh, okay, this is the time period we're dealing with. And I really love his relationship with Rocket specifically, because Rocket saves him, and you get this bit after they've had like a tussle on the ship, and Rocket's like, are you okay? And he has like, don't worry, he has nothing in his arsenal of tricks that can. And Rocket's like, are you okay? And he's like, yes. And I'm like,
he's like, humans, you talk so much. I just wanted to know.
I love this.
And then we get like a 90s Captain Marvel, like when she's leading the Avengers, Monica Rambeau, and I'm like, this is such a good era of comic characters. This is like the peak Monica, honestly, when again she's leading the Avengers.
Right.
And when she says Kang, and he's like, oh, here we go. I didn't kidnap you. Like, I love all this, like the interactions are just, oh my god. And like Ulik the Troll, he's like a third-rate Thor character who shows up every now and then, but like I love Ulik the Troll and his sister Ulisha.
Yeah.
He needs the killer.
And they find that whole way to like, you even get Cosmo by the end of the story.
Yeah.
But just like one of my favorite things as I was reading this was just the way that they found to tie in this story, not only to King in Black, but rope in all these like really across the board, like what's the weirdest kind of amalgamation team we can put together of characters. We got the Black Knight, we got Symbiote Spider-Man, we've got Captain Marvel,
Ulik the Troll,
Rocket Raccoon before he meets the Guardians, and Kang.
Mr. E's like, rejoice as you wish, Spider-Man. It will be the last time, for I will destroy the galaxy. Then consider us the guardians of the galaxy. I'm pretty sure that's taken.
I really like that joke a lot, because at that point, the Guardians of the Galaxy, as we know it now, hadn't existed. So this was she was still thinking about the Guardians from the year 3000.
Vance Astro and all that. Yeah. Oh, this is a great fight between Mystery and Captain Marvel. You seem confused, Dark Man. Allow me to shed some light on the subject. And she does a cool light thing with the sword.
Both times she illuminates him up, I think it looks gorgeous. The way that they translate in the art her power is awesome. And I love that as the way that she's able to get the upper hand on him and banish him.
I got another thing that made me laugh. This is Spider-Man talking to the Watcher. Spider-Man says, you know you can sit. I do not sit. What do you mean? I mean, I do not sit. I always stand. Like a horse, I suppose. Except you're not a horse. How do you know?
Right.
Like, ooh, Uatu's got jokes.
Uatu is also like top tier in this book for me. I love when he walks up on Mystery like calling him out for never doing anything. He's like, no, you just observe. You observe and you take notes, you record all that. Come on, what are you going to do? And he gets right in his face. He's like, watch me. Yeah. Which is so good. Go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say, I think the humor in this movie, and in this book, is very top notch. Like, as Ryan said, we read a bad Peter David book not too long ago, and so I was really surprised when about like the second issue, I was like, oh no, I'm actually really enjoying this. Oh. I really love eclectic teams, and I really think that Peter David has a good voice for all the characters in this book, all the major players in this book. Mm-hmm. And I cannot state how much of an MVP Kang is for me, because everyone hates this guy. Everyone knows he's the one who tries to conquer, and he's like, I live in this universe. Why don't you think I would want to save it?
I don't want to rule over a universe of dead people. Like, I'm trying to help. Yes.
And it's like he's talking about it not like I'm Kang. It's like what are you talking about? Like, I don't want to. I want to save this.
This is the other thing I like about it, is that, like, not only do I think these are pretty good voices for the characters, I think they are very good interpretations of the voices, while not written 100% the same way, but like basically who these characters were at that point in time in the comics. Like, one of my favorite things is this repeating gag he does where it's like, take him, Kang says take him, and he's like, he's took. And I'm like, that's so so of the time period. So does Peter. And I think that's so of the time period, and like very much this is not the Kang that is written today, but it is the Kang. It is much closer to who Kang was being written like at this point in time with Symbiote Spider-Man and everything. One of the reasons I also think Peter works for me is because he's not in that full-blown asshole phase yet, but he's a little more dickish and a little more aggressive than Peter usually is. But it works because that's part of the point of this point in time with the Spider-Man. Symbiote. So it really, really works for me that Peter's a little like more on edge, a little more like jabby with the way that he picks on people and the things he'll say. Like he's rude to the Black Knight directly. Like, they'll just let anybody in the Avengers, and he's like, hey, whoa, that was pretty rude. He's like, oh my god, did I say that out loud?
I love the ending panel of Spider-Man and Uatu, and he's like, the Black Knight is currently healing back at Avengers Mansion. Spider-Man's like, what about Ned and Smythe? Safely at home. I've wiped their memories to give them some measure of peace. You can do that? He just looks at him. Peter looks at him. Spider-Man's like, why am I on the roof?
Yeah.
Like, it's comedy gold. Damn, it's so funny back to back how somebody can be like so good at something, and then you read something like, man, people have multitudes. That's crazy.
I also really like the kind of emotion that Peter David brings to Uatu in this book, because there's a bit at the end where Uatu is ready to take Monica to the future, to the King in Black, like to that event, and he's like, okay, I'm going to time travel us. I'm talking to my future self. I'm going to time travel us. We're going. And he's like, what's going on? He's like, I guess my species doesn't think even this is enough to warrant an intervention.
Yeah, right. Now this makes me wonder if like there is some random mention of Uatu in the modern going, I just talked to my previous self, but we can't do anything about it. Like that'd be cute.
I'm still going through the King in Black event, but I'll let you know if like there is a direct connotation here.
Merlin's in this book.
Merlin's cool. I really love when Merlin surprises Peter, but I also love when the Black Knight has his section with Merlin, and he's like, hold on, before I hand over the blade, what's my name? And he's like, you're the Black Knight. And he's like, no, my name. And he's like, oh, damn it, you're good.
Pretty sneaky, sis.
Yeah. I think that's a lot of fun. I do like the energy of Mr. E. I like him just as like this confusing, foreknowledged thing that is connected to Null. I really love that he's so committed to his name. And I like when he's captured by the Collector and he like pleads to Null, like, just let me more power and I can do something. He's like, boy, you caught me when I'm generous. Okay. Yeah. I think this book's just a ton of fun.
Yeah.
I really like that Peter does work for me in Peter David's writing here because he is such a butthead. And I think it connects in a way that's really fun. Like he's a little put out by like encountering a talking dog on top of everything else. And when he's drinking at the bar with everyone else, and he's like, I kind of hate this. I kind of hate everything. Yeah, it's just,
this made me laugh too. Are you kidding, Black Knight? Do you know how hot the sun is? Asked Spider-Man, and then King's like, Earth's sun? About 7,000 Kelvin. He's like, that's right, over 10,000 degrees. And I'm like, Peter, it's so much hotter than that. That's really funny. You're a scientist.
Two art panels kind of really close to each other that I really like is the really beautiful. I think everything they do with translating Monica's powers is really exceptionally pretty.
Yes.
And I really like it, especially when she goes and she takes out the solar eclipse. And then I also love the page where Null reacts to that. And he's very upset. And I think they did a very good job translating Null into that page. Seeing him both in the giant head and then cloistered, what we know is inside of the symbiote ball.
Cool idea.
Planet.
Just,
Symbiote planet.
Yeah, well, the ball that is a planet.
Yeah.
I just think like not only is the art style good throughout, Oh God, yes. Okay. There's the part where like Kang again, like this is working to the Peter of this time period where he's a little more like brash, and Kang does this thing where Spider-Man had attacked him and he says, "How dare you?" And Spider-Man's like, "Nobody's learned and nobody respects me. I'll dare anything," and punches Kang in the face. Man, it just works so much to be this particular time period, and I think they had something just really special going for it, and working as like this King in Black thing. You got the whole scene on Kang's ship with Uatu where he's looking to the future and he's seeing Null, and Null is looking back at him.
Yeah,
and he knows it.
Yeah, because Kang's like, yo, I gotta save the universe, and Uatu's like, there's nothing in this universe that I haven't seen that could possibly. Oh no, that's pretty bad.
Yeah,
That's pretty bad.
And Null's looking right back at him, and I'm like, man, like this is the kind of thing that I'm really enjoying in my journey through the King in Black event, is because like they really make Null feel impactful beyond the event, because you've got all these things that are building up, like, oh shit. And
again, it's so cool to like. This is like late 80s, early 90s era, so it's like it is cool that like we're bringing a modern thing in like past, and it kind of makes sense for a fun comic booky thing,
right?
I'm like, yo, time ripples, I'm about it.
Yeah. So I just think that they really did hit it out of the park with this one. I think it's a lot of fun.
I'm definitely gonna read
an adventure, and I'm very interested to read more of the Symbiote Spider-Man pieces.
Because if it's more like Jameson, then hell yeah, I think Peter David's Spider-Man stuff is some of his strongest stuff.
Symbiote Spider-Man, I think, has 5 series, and the very last one directly dovetails into Peter David's Hulk run from the time, so he like bridges the thing right into it. I had a great time with this, and so I'm glad you guys did too.
Loved it.
All right, well, that's it. That'll do it for tonight. Ben's book club is next week, but we don't know what it is. I'm sure he doesn't either. So
hopefully he will before he thinks about it on Thursday.
I was literally gonna say we'll find out Thursday.
Yeah. So stay tuned for the social media to find out what that is. Next week, however, we do know what our topic is. It is going to be, drumroll please, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3.
I can't believe it.
Y'all ready to cry?
I cannot believe it's already here.
I'm ready to cry.
Time goes so slow, and then I'll blink and I'm watching like the next big movie that I'm excited for. I'm like, man, I'm gonna cry so hard.
Yeah, I'm excited for this one. So
Megan, my wife, just bought the stuffed Rocket, like young Rocket, weighted plush from Disney. So
are we doing Kong this weekend?
Are we doing what?
Kong this weekend?
Oh, King Kong?
Yeah.
I know what you're talking about now. Yeah, we're supposed to.
I got a lot of movies to watch this week. I'm going to watch all the Guardians films. I'm going to do it.
All 2 of them.
Well, 3 if you count. What's his name? Holiday special. All right, so that'll do it, guys. So stay tuned for that. Mag in the comments says, "Take care, gang," or should I say, "I am Groot." It's actually "We are Groot," because Mag, you are part of the Fake Nerd podcast family of podcasts.
Look at that! Look at that!
Cool. So stay tuned. Check out all sorts of things on this channel. As far as the Fake Nerd podcast family of podcasts goes, there's plenty of things to check out, such as Conversation, my new season has started. For a Conversation, where I talk to Karis Lunn from the Journey into Fandom podcast very similar to my own, but she takes it in an interesting direction. I really enjoyed this conversation. Upcoming this week, hopefully, Kyle Andre from the Dragon Ball Super Dope podcast.
Hell yeah.
Stay tuned for that. For anybody who's interested, there's a sneak peek clip, I guess, at the end of the Karis Lunn episode. I'm trying to up, much like Ryan said last week, I'm trying to up the production quality of my Conversation.
Hell yeah.
Check out Fake Nerds Watch. Fake Nerds Watch has just ended 2 shows, Star Trek Picard Season 3 and Star Wars The Mandalorian Season 3, both of which you can check out, linked below or on our channel, of course. More Fake Nerds Watch is on the way.
We will not be back until June.
Is Secret Invasion, right?
No, Strange New Worlds.
Strange New Worlds.
Then Secret Invasion.
Right, they're back to back.
They're close.
Ooh, June's a good month for me. I got Strange New Worlds and Indiana Jones and Secret Invasion. Hey, baby.
Hell yeah.
The month of June, my month. Basement Arcade. which are the video game Let's Play series, Basement Arcade Pause Menu, which just put up a review, an older archived review. Jedi Fallen Order is available to listen to and to watch now, and more episodes coming soon. Fickner Book Club and Animation Station are both shows you can watch on this channel. Animation Station, by the way, stay tuned for Star Wars Visions Volume 1, and Volume 2 will hopefully follow shortly after.
Yep.
So stay tuned. Oh, stop kicking my desk. And the real score. The real score is... What'd you say?
I said the real score.
The real score. It was our newest show, our freshman show, where you can check out us, myself, Sparks Woody, and our good friend and collaborator Jeremy Vellucci talking about film music. We can find that in audio and video. New episode soon, Sparks, right? Ish.
Yeah, I mean, it was supposed to be out by now, but like I just had to accept that wasn't going to happen and not kill myself. So it'll come out
first.
It'll come out soon.
It will definitely come out before the third episode.
It will.
Yeah. That's how that works, right?
Yeah.
Unless it is the third
in
episode.
In all seriousness, within a week, the next episode should be out.
Check out our Patreon. So check out all the shows. Some of them linked below. Some of them you can subscribe audio-wise. Put out a lot of stuff. You can check out our Patreon and our TeePublic if you'd like to support us financially. Those are linked below, as well as on our website. Everything is linked on our website, literally everything. And that is at fakenerdpodcast.com, which is also coincidentally linked below. Thank you to everyone who listens. Thank you to everyone who watches the live show. Thank you to everyone who watches the replay after this. Don't think I didn't notice that Grayson Live was not in the chat because Ben Magnet was not here. I see your priorities, Grayson. I see him.
Wow.
So you can check out.
Maybe he was here and he was just invisible.
I can see the view counter. Although to be fair, Mag didn't pop up in the view counter.
I was gonna say Mags was here and it was still 0.
Maybe he was here and he was just invisible.
Maybe. You know what? It's right here. It's in our hearts.
It's in my lungs.
So yes, thank you to everyone who listens, watches the replay. Thank you to Jeremy Vellucci for all the music you heard here tonight and all the music for all of our shows, as well as joining us on The Real Score, new podcast. You can find him on Instagram at Jeremy Vellucci _Wreck of Time, or you can find his podcast, Suburban Proctologist, at facebook.com/Suburban Proctologist Official, or Instagram at Subproc Podcast. You can find it on iTunes, obviously. Thank you to Mike Matola, wonderful human being he is. Did a couple of our logos, including my new Conversation logo. Collaborated with us on many things. We love him to death. You can find him at Mike Matola on Instagram and TikTok. Just finished The Matrix.
Yep. Hell yeah.
Peace. You can find us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, all at Fakener Podcast, fakenerdguys@gmail.com. If you'd like to get in touch with us personally, I'm at BT McClure on Instagram and Twitter. I also write for CBR.com, KaijuRamenmedia.com, or AtomicGeekdom.com. Also find me, I guess, live on Sundays at Kaiju Weekly whenever I can make it. As well, and Ben Magnet 27. You can find him, Ben Magnet 27, on Instagram and Twitter, as well as I think on TikTok also. I don't think he uses it, but he has it.
Sorry, just real quick. Kaiju Weekly aren't they on Saturdays, not Sundays?
Nope, Sundays.
Oh, okay.
So I'm basically just streaming for like 7 hours a day on Sundays.
Yep. It's your life.
That is true. And you can find Ben Magnet, his writings at oldschoolgamermagazine.com, GoNintendo.com, and FusionGamingMagazine.com. Sparks?
You can find me eagerly anticipating heading off into that infinite forever at Sparks Woody on Instagram and Twitter, SPARKZ Woody.
What?
Guardians 3.
Oh.
We are fans.
Yeah, we did it. Ryan?
Hey, y'all. You could find me maybe doing some streaming this week because my car exploded and I can't get to work. So I have free time this week at DJ Tony Snark 616.
Subscribe to us on iTunes, Stitcher. By the way, I'm sorry about that. That sucks.
It does. It's true.
Right, subscribe to us on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, TuneIn, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music and Podcasts, and Pandora. Rate and review wherever you get us. We greatly appreciate it. Like this video, subscribe to this channel. Until next time we see us, guys, stay fake, nerds.
Sisu.